Good morning. Thank you. That's the energy I like to see on a Saturday morning. I hope everyone's doing well and you can hear me okay. We're really excited to welcome you to campus, to UBC Sauder, for this fantastic day that we have planned ahead of you. I think the weather is kind of cooperating. Hopefully you got a bit of a tour in before it really started downpouring. And I want to just welcome you again. My name is Nicole Kelly. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a manager of recruitment here at UBC Sauder. So today, I do want to let you know that we are live streaming today's event as well. So we have people joining us from all around the world. I'm not sure exactly what time of day it is for them, but they are very graciously joining us virtually. They can't see you really, they can just see me. So we can give them a wave. They might see the back of your hand. So hello to everyone joining us virtually. And I encourage you to participate in the chat. We have a staff member monitoring to be able to answer your questions as well and hopefully integrate you into today's session too. So as I mentioned, we have a lot of things planned for us today, but we do have an important thing that we want to start with, which is our land acknowledgement. So the land we are gathered on today is traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam people. I also want to acknowledge that our virtual participants are joining from many different places and acknowledge the traditional owners and caretakers of those lands. Just a piece here, 2 weeks from now, it will be the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation in Canada, a very newly recognized day that we've started to have here in Canada. This is a day to recognize the intergenerational harm that residential schools have caused to Indigenous families and communities and honor those affected by this injustice. As an educational institution, we are here today. Our work towards truth and reconciliation is critical, and I invite you to learn and join us in taking steps towards this journey. So a bit of a brief rundown of what you can expect from today. For those of you here in person, I hope you enjoyed getting to meet some of our student ambassadors and hearing about their experiences and seeing the campus a little bit. And now we start our formal programming with our live stream audience joining us. So we have an opening remarks coming from Joey, who I'll introduce in a moment. And we'll also have a programs overview for you, followed by a sample lecture, which hopefully you will be actively participating in. It should be a really wonderful chance to learn from one of our faculty and kind of get your thoughts going. And then we'll have a short break, and our virtual participants will be able to ask some questions to one of our student ambassadors online. Finally, we'll do a careers presentation, which I'll introduce as well at that time, and have some wonderful alumni who are going to join us and share with you about their experiences across our various programs. We'll have a delicious lunch and a break for our virtual participants. And then if you'd like to continue eating lunch and kind of spend time talking to our staff, you're welcome to. But we also have a very special guest today who, again, we'll introduce in a moment, joining us from the Yale School of Management, where they'll be talking about our dual degree options that students can take when they come to UBC Sauder if they're interested in our MBA or our MM programs. So a wonderful number of things that you can kind of engage in today. Just a few housekeeping things before I pass the microphone over to Joey. So in terms of if you need a washroom on this level, if you head out the door and across the hallway where the elevators are, turn to the right, you'll find washrooms there. Just ask any of our staff. I do encourage you to ask questions throughout today. We'll have people going around with microphones so you can ask the question as we're engaging with you. This is meant to be a fun day to really interact with us. And just to note that we will be recording portions of today's presentation. So if you wanted to check it out later or share it with a friend, you're very welcome to do that too. So a lot of wonderful things we have in store, and we're just really excited to be spending this time with you. So thank you again for coming. Let's give a round of applause for you for waking up early on a Saturday morning. And I'll just briefly introduce Joey here, if you just give me one moment. So Joey Hoegg is the Senior Associate Dean of Faculty at the UBC Sauder School of Business, and she's also the Academic Director of the Robert H. Lee Graduate School. She is also a marketing professor. Joey has taught numerous graduate marketing courses at UBC Sauder and was awarded the 2020 CPA Teaching Award for Excellence in Graduate Teaching. She actively participated in graduate student activities, including coaching case competitions, attending and facilitating student-directed lectures, and providing mentorship and funding to graduate student entrepreneurial startups. Prior to completing her PhD, Joey worked in a variety of fields, including retail, commercial property management, education, and marketing consulting. A wealth of experience that she brings to us. So we're very lucky to have her with us at UBC Sauder in her role. And I'd like to pass the microphone over to Joey now. Thank you. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nicole. Appreciate it. Welcome. Good morning. How are you doing today? How are you doing today? Better. Thank you very much. So as Nicole said, I'm Joey, and I have been here for a long time. I feel very lucky to be part of Sauder. I love this school. And I'm just going to spend a very few minutes today just kind of giving you a little bit of an overview, and then I'll pass it to the people who know the details. So you are here today because you are considering, or perhaps have already applied, thinking about graduate school. It's a big change. Some of you have been working for years and are now thinking, okay, I might go back to school. Some of you may still be in school and thinking, all right, what am I going to get with this degree? I think I need to do something else. And some of you may be somewhere in the middle. You've been out just for a little while, and now you're looking at maybe changing, coming back something. So it's a tough decision. So hopefully today we'll be able to help you make that decision. But just to get kind of thinking about it, there are many reasons why all of you, those people online and people everywhere, think about graduate school. So tell me, you can just shout them out, you can give your own reason, or you can just give what a general reason might be. But why are you here? Why are you thinking about graduate school? Why would anyone come back? Why are you looking at it? Okay. Sorry? To get into management. Okay, great. So to move up, right? Maybe you're in a job now where you're doing something more technical or you're doing something more operational and you see leadership. And so you want to move up into the management ranks. Really important, very reasonable job. Plan to do graduate school because you're going to get here the broad view, right? Like you might be currently working in one narrow area. You're going to learn accounting. You're going to learn marketing. You're going to learn finance. You're going to learn operations. You're going to learn HR. You're going to learn leadership skills to be able to take you to that next level. So yes, absolutely. Promotion, leadership, being in charge, learning how to make decisions. You don't realize till you're in that thing, but the decisions are really hard. You're just waiting for someone else to make the decision and you do it. But when you have to make the decision, how do you do that? How do you think about get the biases out of the way? Look at the information. Look at what is always incomplete information. You will never have all the information you need to make a decision. And we're going to put you in that. You do a degree here. We do a lot of cases here. So you'll be doing casework. In a case, you know what the company is. You know the situation. You have some information. You'll never have all of it. And you have to make a decision. We put you in that management position right away. Yes. What other reasons might you come to graduate school? Get new skills. Thank you so much. You want to learn. Yes, because hello, we are an academic institution. We want you to come and learn and expand your mind. Sometimes people come for the degree. I get that. I totally get it. You want the letters. You want to be able to say, I have an MBA, I have an MM, I have fine. But the real magic is in the learning. I have an MBA, so I'm like you. I decided to go back to graduate school. It was 7 years it took me to make the decision to go back, so I was slow, but it's fine. My undergraduate degree is in English literature from here at UBC. And I worked, I had jobs. I didn't really know what it was. I kind of was, I went from commercial property management. I went to this, I went to that. Eventually, I ended up in education and I was teaching English as an additional language. Here in downtown, there's a lot of English as an additional language private schools. I was teaching in one of them. And I thought, all right, this isn't quite what I want to do forever. I know I want to change. I know I want something different, but I don't really know exactly what I want to do. So I started to look and I thought, okay, I think I would like to open my own ESL school. I could open a school because it's, I like teaching, but it's not enough. I want to do more. And there's all these schools popping up. And so here I can open up my own school, but I know nothing about business. I've worked in a couple of organizations, but I don't really know certainly don't know entrepreneurship. I don't know how to run my own business. I need an MBA. So I took the GMAT, did all these things, got an MBA and started the program and started to take entrepreneurship. That was my plan, entrepreneurship. Well, about 2 courses in, I realized I have zero tolerance for risk. None, zero. The thought of using someone else's money and risking it and maybe losing it, oh my God, no, absolutely not. And when I started my MBA, I told my family, I think I'm going to do entrepreneurship. I'm definitely, absolutely for sure not doing marketing. Marketing is evil. Basically, advertising is just destroying the world, making people buy things they don't need, they don't want. I hate marketing. I will not do marketing. Well, as you heard from Nicole, I am a marketing professor, so something changed. In the MBA, It turned my thinking on its head. I learned I didn't have risk tolerance. I didn't want to open my own business. I did not want to go down that road, but I loved marketing. I didn't understand what it was. I thought it was just advertising, but I understood the strategy and the data and the analysis, which you're going to hear later from our speaker, Chunhua, pretty soon. So cool. And it completely turned my life. Never in my wildest dreams would I have thought when I started my MBA that I would be here as a marketing professor, as an associate dean, as the director of the Robert H. Lee Graduate School. No way. The MBA changed my life. It made me think, this is what I want to do. I love marketing. I graduated. I went into marketing consulting, did that for a couple of years, and then thought, now I really want to do both. I want to do marketing research, just the consulting I was doing, and I want to teach, which I was doing before. And then I ended up doing my PhD and coming here. And that degree changed my path. So yes, learning new skills, but opening yourself up to skills maybe you didn't think you had. Paths maybe you didn't think were open to you. It can make a huge, huge difference in your life if you're kind of open to the possibility. If you go in thinking, yeah, I'm not a math person. Maybe you are. Maybe you just had a really bad teacher in high school. Who knows? Maybe you'll love accounting. Maybe you'll love stats. Maybe you'll love HR. Just be open to that. Okay. So that's reasons why you might, I kind of appreciate that no one said more money, but that's totally good too. You could do it. It's fine. Nothing wrong with that. That was yours. Perfect. Very valid reason. And that will happen too. You will move up. You will make more money. So then the question is, why here? Why would you come to Sauder? There's lots of schools. Once you started looking for graduate school online, you probably get ad after ad after ad after ad for program. So many graduate programs out there you could do. So why this one? Okay, great. Networking. You come into graduate school here, you are with a group of very, very smart people. It is not easy to get into the Sauder School of Business. It's actually very difficult to get in. It is working with people that have maybe similar goals, maybe different goals, similar backgrounds, different backgrounds, but all are here to learn from each other, to connect to each other. And those connections, so important. You say networking, but it's more than that, right? It's connections, it's friendship. Networking is important. When you can get it, one of the first jobs I started after I graduated, the marketing consulting, was with former MBAs. I started working with them. I am still really close friends with my MBAs, and it was, well, let's say a couple of decades ago that I got mine. We're still close friends. So these things really can make a difference. So the people that you're in that room with, particularly in these programs, because they're kind of lockstep. For most of them, you're with the same people for almost the whole degree or the entire degree. And so you really get connected with them and they become very close. Yeah, good. Any other reasons? Otherwise, I'll just tell you why Sauder, but any other reasons why? Quality, excellent. We are one of the top business schools in Canada. That too, thank you. UBC is a very, very strong school, as you already know. UBC Sauder is one of the best business schools in Canada, and we have some of the faculty here are the best in the world. In fact, our dean is the #2 most published researcher in marketing in the world. We have really, really strong people. And your teachers are a wonderful mix. You have people who've been working for many years and who came back. And one day you'll be calling me and saying, I want to come back and teach. It happens. And people come back. So they've been out for years and then they come back and they teach and they bring their real world experience into the classroom where they've been working, the experiences they had, they bring that. And then we complement that with deep theoretical research. Yes, a lot of times and I was one of these people. I did it too, I'm being taught by a researcher. They don't know what they're talking about. They haven't had real experience. That can sometimes be true. But what they have is this depth of knowledge and this ability to make you think, to make you go farther than the surface level, to make you really critically analyze the information and take it to the next level so that when you go into your organization, when you go back or you go on to a new job, you can be the person who can quickly break down a problem and help people solve, that people come to you because you have that confidence, you have that knowledge, which has been built up from real world experience and deep theoretical insights. So yeah. The other thing I think is kind of nice is the support opportunities that you have here. You're going to hear from our career center. You have a career center that's helping you every step along the way. You have connections to global opportunities that you're going to hear from the Yale School of Management. You can go worldwide and do opportunities like that. So yes, the network's great. The instruction is great. The support from the staff, the RHL, that's the Robert H. Lee Graduate School, that staff will help you get through. You've already been in touch with the recruiting and admissions staff. The support here is excellent. So today is your test run. Enjoy the day, ask questions. Nicole's right, ask questions. If you're not a person who's going to ask questions, you'll get used to that when you start graduate school, by the way. But if you're not, you can always follow up. That's me. I'm extremely easy to Google. So you can find me, you can write me an email. Absolutely any problem. No problem at all. I'm happy to chat with you. Very easy to find. You can talk to any of us at any time if you don't get your questions answered now. But if you can also find me on LinkedIn. But try to get them answered now. Be open to the day, open to experience, enjoy yourself, and have a wonderful time. Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me all well? Yeah? All right, I'm Rodrigo. I've met some of you already coming in this morning. Really excited to learn more about you. I see people thinking about full-time MBA and BAN, but I've seen a lot of people coming in here as well, thinking about connections. And I was gratefully impressed to see people making connections, having coffee, going for your campus tour already. Hopefully the rain is going to give us a little bit of a break. I'm here to give you an overview of our programs today. So we have a journey of possibilities ahead of you, right? We've got degrees that have to empower our students and alumni to go and do great things around the world. You'll see that we have a combination of MBAs. I call them the MBA family. We've got a full-time MBA, a part-time professional MBA degree, both located in Vancouver, and then IMBA located out of Shanghai. We've got our suite of specialized masters, MBAN, Masters of Business Analytics, Masters of Management, and then we've got a combination of bachelor and dual degrees of masters as well, MBA plus MBAN, B plus MM. I've met someone this morning who's on the B plus MM program as well. We've got our JD MBA, MBA plus Law in partnership with the Allard School of Business. And we also have our BCom, our Bachelor of Commerce as well. Today, to give you a bit of an overview, I was told that I only have 10 minutes and I probably already burnt one. So I'm going to be focusing on the programs that we have applications open right now. And those are the full-time MBA, the professional MBA, the Masters of Business Analytics, the Masters of Management, the MBA plus MBAN. And we also have, if you're interested, we've got a short window before the application closes for the IMBA in Shanghai as well. Would that be okay? Show of hands, who's think of an MBA? Any MBA? All right, that's a good choice. I'm here to talk a little bit more about the MBA. Who's thinking of a specialized master's degree? MBAN, MM, MBA plus MBAN. All right, okay. We're gonna talk about those as well. So full-time MBA, the UBC MBA, internally we call FT MBA, the full-time MBA. It's 16 months, and it requires to start a 2-year of work experience minimum. Right? Some of the highlights of the degree are there. I'm not gonna go through all of them, but some of the things that I really wanted to highlight to you, it's the ROI, the return on investment, and the return on effort of the MBA degree. It's 16 months, and you're gonna get a full-time experience. You're gonna be able to do internship, an entrepreneurial project, or an industry project. You're gonna be able to go on exchange. If you wanna go on exchange, you can tap into something really exciting called the GNAM, the Global Network for Advanced Management. Our partner from Yale is here as well. But more important, it's a very collegial group of individuals. You've heard from Joey. Joey's always a very hard act to follow. Those are our professors, the world-class faculty. And I think one of the things that Joey spoke about that has really struck me, I've been with Sauder for 13 years now. I'm Brazilian-Canadian out of São Paulo. It's the community. Thinking about the community and how you're building network across our programs, it's probably the greatest ROI of the program. When you're looking in terms of salary, gains, post-program, those are gonna happen through the Business Career Center. You're gonna have a launch pad to accelerate change your career, go into entrepreneurship, but the connections that you made 5, 10 years down the line, being able to call someone and say, I have a business problem to solve. I'm looking to change careers. I'm looking to hire. Those are the connections and the true value of the MBA that the alumni have shared with me throughout the years. And one thing that I always say about the MBA is you can vastly overestimate where you're going to be immediately after the program and totally underestimate where you're going to be 3-5 years down the line. Something to think about the full-time MBA. We've got a few career tracks. These are specializations that are multidisciplinary and you can tackle and go into an area of business and multi-functions that you are interested in. Some of the more recent ones have been the technology analytics leadership and the climate track. We, of course, got the pro bono consulting project. You're going to hear a lot of acronyms today, so I'm apologizing on behalf of the whole team. This is GIE, the Global Immersion Experience. You're going to start to working with companies and students from other faculties, from other schools overseas, with your colleagues from the MBA, and you're going to be actually heading down to that location in the world to solve a business problem. And we are really nice. We give you about some days off after GIE, then you can explore the location as well before you come back, and you've got to re-engage with your studies too. Global Network of Advancement Management, I call this a opportunity to truly enhance the networks that you build through your UBC MBA. So we are the only Canadian school member of the network. And through the GNM, you get an opportunity to take other courses online, do what we call the GNM Week. You can go to locations in the world and explore what courses they have to offer. So you see that we cover all continents. And of course, we got the partnership with Yale that you can do a dual degree as well. Later today, who's going to be talking to all of you about their experience with the Yale UBC MBA and the Yale dual degree. And of course, I got my colleague Matthew, who's going to be here to answer some of your questions as well. So that's the full-time MBA. Professional PMBA, I've heard and had the opportunity to talk to some of you about the PMBA. This one has a very short window right now if you're thinking about applying for the PMBA. The final deadline is 2.5 weeks from now, October 1st. And we are almost finalizing the class. There's still an opportunity. If you have things ready, come talk to all of us. We can guide you through the process. This is our part-time MBA degree. Very collegial, very boutique. It's a class of 60, and you're going to be navigating with those colleagues throughout the 24 months of your journey. And you're still going to have some very neat opportunities to expand on the community and on the network options as well. So 24 months, 60 students. One of the highlights are the 3 residencies. I describe these as boot camps. So you're all going to have to plan your vacations and come together for 7 days of activities throughout the program. And we kick it off with one that really allows the cohort to come together, get to know one another, and maximize those opportunities. Typically for PMBA, you're looking for career advancement. So I get this question a lot. Should I do full-time MBA, PMBA? I think really the question back to all of you is, what are you hoping to achieve? Are you looking for a career change? That's typically more the full-time MBA profile. So you're going to deep dive into full-time studies, 8 to 6, Monday to Friday. And then you're thinking about getting some type of specialization to the career tracks to go into a different field. PMBA, you get some exposure to some of those courses as well, but the PMBA has more of the general MBA leadership approach, where we are equipping and empowering people to advance in their careers. So the typical career outcome for PMBA is career acceleration, getting 1 or 2 jobs immediately after or during the program. While full-time MBA is, I want to land that next job in that next field or start a new business from the field or a place that I was in before. MBA, Masters of Business Analytics. I've got a lot of questions this morning about AI. What is happening with AI? How is Sauder integrating AI into the curriculum? A little bit of a teaser. We're going to get a great lecture later on. But the MBA, for me, I could never do the MBA. I don't have the mathematical ability. But that's, for me, a good place to start. If you're thinking about the MBA, you're intrigued about analytics, you're looking the change in the landscape of business and elsewhere in terms of AI, machine learning. So you have a knack for, I want to learn a little bit more about coding. This is a good place to start, and this is the program that can really catapult you into the world of business, merging with analytics. It's 12 months, really intense. You're going to be with your cohort navigating the 12 months of classes together. You're going to be learning, enhancing your coding skills, Python, R, SQL, having the support of the Career Center, figuring out, how do I tell that story? I've got the analytics, I'm learning new skills, jobs are everywhere for analytics. How can I position myself as someone who knows business, has a notion of strategy? I come from a different background, maybe technological, maybe not, and I want to enhance my career during 12 months and go into the world of Masters of Business Analytics, e-commerce, and whatnot. We've got some of the very interesting stats there, summer internship. One of the highlights of the program is the hackathon. It's really exciting. You get engaged with the company on top of all the company information sessions that we do, but you can really maximize that hands-on learning and optimize career opportunities. And employment is going really well. Across the board, we have seen some strong numbers from the MBA program too. Masters of Management. I describe it sometimes as our junior MBA. The Masters of Management is a program that is for someone who has not done anything in business so far. So you've got to have a degree in another discipline and a maximum of 2 years of work experience. Reason being is we're going to put you through a very accelerated and intense 9-month journey to get you to optimize the transferable skills and insight that you bring from your bachelor's degree to go into business or another area that you want to explore with the support of the Business Career Center, the community, networking, and our world-class faculty as well. One of the highlights of the Masters of Management, it's the Community Business Project. This is an opportunity for our MM students to get hands-on experience in a sustainable, friendly, climate, not-for-profit project that you can make an impact with a problem that an organization is finding it hard to solve. So they come to our school, they look for the MM students as their activators to exercise their business skills, that different perspective of someone who's coming from a degree that's not in business, with fresh ideas, learning the skills from the UBC Sauder School of Business and your peers, to be able to really maximize the result for them. So it's a 9-month degree, really intense, and you've got options to do an exchange overseas. Some of our MM students take us up on that as well, and then extend their degree by a couple of months or 3 months. That's my cue. Thank you very much. I'll be around. Come to find us if you have any questions. Matthew?
Thank you, everyone. So thank you so much, Rodrigo, and everyone at UBC for welcoming me. My name is Matthew Lassance. I'm the Assistant Director for Admissions with the Management Master's Programs at the Yale School of Management. We have a couple different programs that we work with UBC and can be combined with your UBC degree. The MAM degree, or Master of Advanced Management, which can be combined with your MBA degree, and the Master's in Global Business and Society degree, which can be combined with your MM or Master of Management degree. We have some great opportunities there, very flexible curriculum, allowing you to take classes across not just Yale SOM, but Yale University. A lot of different global opportunities that I know Rodrigo had mentioned with the global network, on top of having a really global cohort discussing many different topics and things going on across the globe throughout different courses and all of that. And then on top of that, you come out of it with not just a fantastic degree from UBC, but also an opportunity to have a degree and have the network from Yale University behind you as well. So I'll be talking about both the MAM and GBS degrees, as well as how they can be combined and kind of added to your UBC degree experience a little bit later today. So, and I'm happy to stick around, answer any questions afterwards. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, Matt. Apologies for those on the virtual live stream. Matt is here. You can see his face on the screen, but yeah, we'll make sure you can see for his presentation later if you decide to join us for that, but no problem. Hopefully you could hear him just fine. So I hope you're feeling inspired and excited by all of the opportunities ahead of you. I also hope you're ready to become a student and sit in your first lecture at UBC Sauder, perhaps. So I'm excited to introduce to you our next speaker. Here we go. So as mentioned, we do have a sample lecture for you. So a little bit about Chunhua. Dr. Chunhua Wu is an associate professor and the division chair of marketing and behavioral science at the UBC Sauder School of Business. He also holds the Finning Junior Professorship in marketing. Chunhua's research primarily focuses on quantifying the economic and market impacts of technology. His work, published in top-tier marketing journals, covers topics such as the economic value of online reviews, the influence of online secondary markets on sports marketing, and the impact of mobile hailing apps on taxi drivers. Very interesting. In his teaching role, Chunhua delivers courses on pricing analytics, market research, data visualization, and business analytics to a diverse range of students. He is a faculty lead for the MBA Global Immersion Experience program, which Rodrigo was mentioning, and his dedication to teaching has been recognized with the prestigious UBC Kilim Teaching Prize. Chunhua has particular interest in tech and is a lab scientist and mentor at the Creative Destruction Lab here at UBC Sauder. He also invests in technology companies like SpaceX, OpenAI, Anthropic, Cohere, and Intelligent City. Again, quite the accolades, quite the diverse interests. I'm really excited to welcome Chunhua to the front of the room and pass things over to him. So please give a warm welcome for Chunhua.
All right, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? All right, so thanks very much, Nico, for the very nice introduction. And to be honest, it's a great honor for me to stand here. You know, at UBC Sauder, there are so many wonderful professors, lecturers. Once you get into the room, I truly believe that they will have a positive impact on your life. They will give you, first of all, teach you some knowledge about business, about analytics, right? And more importantly, they will shape the way you think about business problems. And this kind of will create a lot of impact. All right, so today it's my great pleasure to talk about AI. Are you excited about the topic? Yes. All right, so I can totally see the excitement, but let's take one step back. So let's first think about analytics. So the topic today is about AI and analytics. All right, about 30 seconds. Think about this question. What comes to your mind when you hear the word analytics? Think about this for 30 seconds, and then say hello to the one next to you and have a very quick exchange. We'll come back for a quick discussion. What comes to your mind when you hear about this word analytics? 30 seconds. All right. So what are the keywords coming into mind? Yes, go ahead. Studying data. Starting. All right, so quite a few keywords, right? Data, anything else? Yeah, you know, numbers, yes. Okay. Okay, so few keywords. Well, information. And the way we present information, right? So visualization is one of these. So the one sitting in the back. Quantifying. Yes. So from data to information, right? We need some kind of skills to gather information. So quantifying some of the very important elements in the data is really critical. Anyone else? Yes. Okay, so thinking about one word to describe this process. Which word would you use? Forecasting, anything else? Analyzing, insight,
decisions,
visualization, lots of keywords, right? So we're talking about analytics. So the process of extracting information from data, that's about analytics, right? But why do we want to have analytics? So two follow-up questions, very great discussions. So thinking about the role of analytics, right? In what kind of scenarios it will create value for businesses? And in what kind of scenarios probably the creation of value will be limited? So why do we need analytics in the first place? Tell story, analyze patterns. What's the end goal here? Why do we care? Making decisions, and potentially they could be very important decisions that drives revenue and profitability, right? So lots of keywords. I didn't have time to put all the keywords onto the whiteboard, but great. So that's basically understanding about analytics, the role here, right? A quick survey. How well do you think your organization is in leveraging analytics from scale 1 to 5? 5 means excellent, the leader in the industry. So how many of you believe in your organization is 5? 1. How many think it's 1 or 2 in your organization? Okay, we have 4 or 5 people more than that. All right, so probably that's why you're here. And that's why you should consider our wonderful programs. So just to recap what we have discussed, I would like to really talk about decision making, right? So this is really the end goal. We really want to make decisions, profitable decisions. So I found a very, very quote from Professor Daniel Kahneman. He's a psychologist and an economist. So he's the Nobel Prize winner for economics in 2002. So in his view, thinking about companies, business, organizations, an organization is nothing but a factory. Factory not really producing goods. Every company is different, but all of the companies, organizations have one common feature, one common product they produce. This is called judgments and decisions. Think about all the most important tasks, right, for your managers, for the CEOs of the organizations. Basically, they're really trying to manufacture these decisions. So the process to make decisions, make good decisions, involves a few stages. The very first one is really critical, actually. It's about how you frame the business problem. in order to make the right decision. Framing is very important here. In many scenarios, companies make mistakes in the decisions because they asked the wrong question. So that's the importance of framing. And then we need to collect information. Right nowadays, massive amounts of data you can collect, both internally and externally. You can extract those information to help with the decision process. Of course, once the decision is done, you want to make sure it's good. And you want to make sure you don't make mistakes if the outcome is not good enough. You don't want to repeat the mistakes. So this is a process of doing reflections and reviews. So that's the overall framework about decision-making, about what is the fundamental nature of an organization from Professor Daniel Kahneman. So how many of you have heard his name or have read the book called Thinking Fast and Slow? Very good. So for those who have not had a chance to check out the book, I strongly encourage you to do. And in a nutshell, this book talks about two systems in our brains in terms of thinking. System one is really about intuitions. You make very quick decisions based on the information input, and you really respond quickly, automatically. System two talks about more in-depth analytics, analytical thinkings to derive the questions and make the right decisions. So system 1 and 2, this is about human decision-making, right? Human intelligence. If you are following about AI, this is exactly what's happening in this past week. Anyone can relate to what happened this past week, 2 days ago? Yes. O1. What is O1? Great. So how many of you have experienced ChatGPT? Wonderful. You were all using 4.0 probably, right? Previously, 4.0 is system 1 thinking so fast. Sometimes the results are not so good. That makes sense. That's why they built another one called O1, which is very slow, but it iterates. You really try to take the output back into the process to rethink about whether the output will be good enough. So this is called a reinforcement learning, and this exactly mimics human brains about system 2 thinking. So as you can see, all the wonderful things happening nowadays in the world, right? You can always connect back to schools, to academics who really discover these fundamental rules about how the brain operations, how the businesses operate. So this is about the quote from Daniel Kahneman. One special recognition here, Daniel Kahneman actually was a professor of psychology on UBC campus from 1978 to 1986. His office was right in this building you are sitting in right now, Henry Angus building. So lots of fundamental work leading to his awarding Nobel Prize was really done in this building. All right, that's a connection. So just to summarize what Daniel Kahneman has said, so if we use a diagram to represent the decision-making process, right? So he mentioned framing judgment is very important. And in the end, we really want to make good management decisions. But the process really needs to give us information. So the information can be collected from data, right? Massive amounts of data. And it's also very important to rely on experience, so experience from managers. That's why, right? So for serial entrepreneurs, their successful rate is much higher than if you are the first-time founder. And that's why VCs invest heavily, more likely into serial entrepreneurs. And also that's why your CEOs probably are paid much more than what you earned. Experience is very important. And this experience helps them to really make the right framing to any decision scenarios. So that's why it's important to come back to school, sitting in the business school classes to learn how to think in a good framework about all the challenges facing today's organizations. All right, so from here, and last but not least, right, so after making decisions, it's a review and reflection process. So all this whole process makes it a whole loop coming back to feed into the experience component. So from here, we see two branches about decision-making. On the top, it's really about driven decision-making. On the bottom, it's more about data-driven decision-making. And that's what lots of companies are talking about today. So just a quick survey, how many of you believe the top one, experience-based decision-making is more important? How many believe data-driven decision-making is more important? The bottom one. It's in the middle. Very good. So we really need a combination of these two, right? So don't be shy if you think experience-based learning is or decision-making is important, because you are really aligned with Albert Einstein. He said the only source of knowledge is really experience. For those who believe data-driven research or data-driven decision-making, let me give you another quote. So in God we trust, that's from Edward Deming, all others must bring data. All right, so really, in today's ever-changing, evolving business environment, combining these two will create the most value. And that's why the companies are heavily competing on analytics nowadays. And people even define a new kind of competitive advantage called analytics competitors, who are so good at decision making driven by data and analytics. So this is an article published in Harvard Business Review. Actually, it was in 2006. They surveyed about 30 companies in different industries. Their conclusion is that some of the top ones are really thinking ahead and building systems to enable this data-driven decision-making. And those companies are performing much better than the rest of the companies in their samples. And there are a lot of lessons for the rest to learn. Remember, this is 2006. 20 years back, right? Can you still recall what you were doing in 2006? Right? So give you one concrete example how companies are creating value using analytics to compete in the marketplace. So a quick video about UPS.
Online shopping means more deliveries to more individual addresses for delivery companies such as UPS and FedEx. Since the average UPS driver company created a computer platform called Orion to make routes as easy and efficient as possible. Laura Stevens wrote the story for the Wall Street Journal. So Laura, this is a 10-year-old project. How much money is UPS saving by using it?
Well, you know, UPS has said that they can save $50 million for every mile, for every driver per year that they save. So, you know, they can save a lot of money. They said that they'll be saving hopefully $300 to $400 million a year by 2017, all through using this algorithm, which basically calculates the most efficient route while still maintaining some consistency for customers.
All right, this is from UPS. They built up the system for 10 years. And how much they're saving every year? $300 to $400 million, right? So how much did they take to make the system, to invest? That's a big question, about $500 million to build up something analytical and make it into the system. But they're saving $300 to $400 million a year. It's a long-term project, right? So about 2 years. So anyone have learned the story? Like, what's the secret here? How were they able to save about $300, $400 million a year by optimizing the routing for the drivers, for the delivery drivers? Know the patterns so that they save the distance, right? The fuels. Anyone else? Have you heard about the secret here? All right, thinking about a delivery driver needs to make 120 stops a day, which means they may probably need to turn the vehicle 100 times a day, right? Assuming it's not optimized, half of these are left turns, half of these are right turns. Now, if they reduce for one driver, 100 left turns, make it to be a right turn, how much time they can save for one driver? Let's say 100 left turns, let's switch to right turn. Algorithm did that for them, actually. So based on your experience, left turn, right turn saves how much seconds on average? A minute more, depending on traffic. Now in Vancouver, probably 5.
I'm in London.
Yes.
My question is this applicable to everyone?
That's a great question. So we're talking about overall, right? They're saving days, but of course, the values for the system differs across cities with different traffic conditions. Yes, exactly. So in Vancouver, with the construction going on now, probably the savings will be even larger, right? But also it creates lots of challenges for the algorithm, what they can figure out further optimizing this. So coming back, a very simple calculation. So I'm not going into the math here today, but they have 100,000 drivers. 250 days on average, a driver will take the job a year, right? So that's how many? 250,000, 10,000. So that's the kind of skill they have. If on average, every driver, if they can save you 8 minutes, 10 minutes, translating to the labor cost, that will be probably around $10, right, per driver. All these amounts, very simply, if you do the calculation, it will be over $100 million by just optimizing, reducing left turns, creating more right turns for the route. Even from that part, they can save more than $100 million a year. So that's a part of analytics, creating real values here. And some of this algorithm, right? So intuitively, simple. So if you have a good framing, and you know, right, so how to make a system so that these decisions will be optimized, right? This framing, this question, hard, right? It's common sense, actually. If we can avoid left turns, make more right turns, and if you can build up a team to realize this common sense, creates $300, $400 million a year. So that's the power of analytics. And so this is about analytics. The first paper survey was published in 2006. The UPS case was around 2017, right? So in 10 years, a lot of companies were building this. And the same authors actually did a follow-up study on analytics in different industries. And in 10 years, we can see a dramatic shift among organizations adopting analytics. So in 2005, in their survey, 45% of the companies said they have minimal analytics. This reduces to 8% in 2016, while on the upside, right? So advanced analytics employed in only 28% of the organizations in 2005, which increased to 57% in 2016. And 2016 is still about almost 10 years back, right? So nowadays in the marketplace, thinking about this, so the value of analytics becomes even more critical. So, however, there are lots of challenges in building up analytics organization. As you have learned from the UPS case, they are extremely successful, but it took 10 years to do. And the challenge really comes from the nature of analytics. It involves different parties, different skills. So from business leaders, business skills to technology challenges, as well as to analytical skills. So McKinsey and Company summarized, well, a few common challenges for analytics among those organizations who really aspire to be the next UPS in efficiently utilizing the values here. I'm just taking some of these summaries and summarize it here for you about the common challenges. So of course, right, so it has to be a top-down strategy from the management. Management has to have a clear vision and the right strategies. And then the most critical one I have highlighted is about talents. In particular, so this report highlighted one type of talents, which they call the analytics translators. What does a translator do? What do they mean by analytics translators? Basically, translators, right? So basically, you are a bridge. You really bring two domains of expertise together. Translators really translate the business problems into some framework that can be solved using analytics. So these are the most critical or most sought after talents in the market regarding analytics. And of course, there are still lots of challenges with analytics. And lots of companies try to invest, but probably the results were not so good. And they were really looking for some changes in the marketplace, some new technologies. And this leads us to the new technology about AI. All right, from McKinsey again, in 2018, they had a report trying to survey companies about the usage of AI to empower analytics. And they discovered AI would really be a multiplier for the efficiency of analytics. And this is what they projected. Of course, the value of AI empowered analytics differs across industries, but for the top industries, right, more than 10% of the revenues will be created by AI-driven analytics. And that was in the year 2018. By the way, do we have AI in 2018? Is it the same AI as what we're talking about in 2024? All right, so these numbers has to be changed, 11%, or maybe 30%, with the new wave of AI. So to understand that potential, let's take a very quick back look at the history of AI. The terminology of AI was really coined in the 1950s. It's an old terminology. And that time, people believe AI will be there in 5 years. And 5 years later, they believe AI will be there in another 5 years. Just sounds familiar, right? Just like the SkyTrain to UBC. Like 5 years ago, we believe we're there 5 years. That's a promise we had in Vancouver, but the same promise about AI. That's what happened now looking at the modern days about AI. So much crowded, so many problems. With the breakthrough on November 29th, 2022. What happened that day? November 29th, 2022. What happened? That's a ChatGPT moment. Really pushed us into a new era of AI. And this stage, this time is different because fundamentally what they're doing in the technology is a bit different from traditional ways of doing AI. And in a nutshell, what this kind of AI is doing is really about compressing all the knowledges very efficiently. So ChatGPT is nothing but really creates a blurry image of all the data it can get from the internet. So that's about a compression process for human knowledge. Anything it can read, anything it can get, it's already compressed, internalized. And that's why the power is so tremendous. And just to give you an idea about the efficiency of compression. So this is really about, we are talking now about AI, where you're creating these two large language models, right? So why large language models matter? Number one, it's they so incredibly efficient in terms of compressing knowledge. 2 hard drives. On the left side is 1 terabyte, right side 8 terabyte. First one is about $200. Next one is maybe $800. Why I'm showing this? So that's a level of compression. The secret source about OpenAI, let's say GPT-4 model, it's about 1.6 trillion parameters. What does this mean? Simply, it's just 1.6 trillion numbers. And you can completely store 1.6 trillion numbers into the hard drive here, which you can get for $800. That's the fundamental secret about OpenAI, the most advanced large language models today on the marketplace. You can really get it and put it onto a hard drive And it encapsulates so much information, right? All the knowledge you can ever imagine in human history is stored there. That's the efficiency of large language models. That's the efficiency of AI, which can potentially enable a really new wave of activities across organizations. So that's the first perspective about large language models. Number two, and more importantly, why it helps with analytics. Large language models, it's about languages, right? The AI before large language models are mostly dealing with images, for example, and now we're tackling the language problem. Language is a really tough problem indeed, right? Humans speak so many different languages. I believe probably in this room, we speak more than 10 different languages, and it's in a very flexible format. For a machine to understand, it's really challenging, right? So, however, language is critical to human society. So humans are different from all the rest of species, animals, because humans can communicate. We organize in communities, in societies, to create things better together. And the language is the glue or is the operating system among the human societies, because you communicate with languages, you make instructions in languages, right? So when you get some requests from your managers, that's mostly delivered through languages. So if we can really solve the language problems, human language problems, actually, we can really translate and make this so powerful for another kind of language, which is computer languages. The world's economy today, maybe 80% of the GDP created are running on some kind of algorithms on these computer languages, right? So now, computer languages are way more structured, way more simpler. If we can solve the human language problem, definitely computer languages, we can really create lots of powers. And the computer languages are what's fundamentally empowering analytics. So utilizing the power for analytics, really, I want to get back to the notion about multiply here. So thinking about an organizations where they are today, two dimensions. One is about the analytics capabilities, what they have invested in, their foundations. The other one is looking forward, what they can do in the future about AI proficiency. So for example, right, your organization right now, analytics capabilities is relatively among 4, which is quite good. If you can utilize AI proficiency to a little bit degrees, you can get a productivity about 8, right? So that's really what a multiply means. If you are a little bit behind in analytics, this AI wave really creates lots of opportunities, because previously, probably if you are just a 2, now if you can invest, if you can build up to your AI capabilities, right? So overall, probably you can get a level to 10. So that's why it's a real opportunity here. And of course, if you are already good on analytics, AI will truly boost the productivities. And as an example from this, right, the companies, their productivity levels will dramatically shift, and probably the dispersion will be even larger with the utilization of AI at various levels. And this part is really what we want to be, what we aim to be. So that's about the framework for the value of AI as a multiplier for companies. Now coming back to this cohort, right, to you, when you are thinking about potentially coming back to school, doing a new degree, this really applies, right? On one dimension, it's about analytical capabilities. It's about the way you think analytically, or whether you have some basic tools, technologies to help you really to perform some of the analytics. On the other dimension, where you can get, right? So it's about, this is about AI proficiency, but don't worry too much, right? This is a very technical term. So what AI proficiency here is, it's nothing, because it's large language models. Do you speak languages? Yes, right? So maybe more than one. That's great. So if you speak languages, AI proficiency really means how you can think about the questions, how you can have a great framework for business problems and translate it to interact with analytical tools. So don't worry, actually this new wave of AI creates way more opportunities than potential threats to you, because right, if you are considering an MBA, that's wonderful. You had an experience in organizations. Now coming to the school, there are so many great frameworks that you can learn, and there's so many case studies, so many practices you can learn and interact with your teammates and learn from the professors. So this will really build your capabilities. We call it AI proficiency, but it's very general capabilities in translating business problems. And this serves a multiplier for your personal capital, right? So your individual capital. On the other hand, if you are really good at analytics, wonderful. Now with the AI, really your power will be unleashed because of the knowledge you can get from here. So that's about how we can understand AI as a potential multiplier, not only for analytics, but in general for productivity. So this sounds all probably a little bit conceptual. Let me walk you into a demonstration now. So I believe we have maybe around 8-10 minutes. So it's a real demo. All right, thinking about analytics. This is a map about Vancouver. Anyone guess what is this about? It's not route, not delivery anymore. All right, so these are the properties who are listed on Airbnb in Vancouver. There's a public data about this. So let's think about a real scenario about Airbnb in Vancouver. So Jane is considering investing in an apartment for short-term rentals in Vancouver. Anyone named Jane in the class today? By the way, Jane is my friend, a very rich friend. So now, right, so you have some data publicly available about Airbnb listings, and think about, right, so to help her, let's do an analytical driven decision-making process. So what are the questions you really want to ask? Questions comes really first. It's very important in terms of helping Jane to do this, so to really make the right decisions. So let's take about probably 2 minutes thinking about questions, list 1 or 2 questions. Probably you can do it in groups. And what we are going to do is we are going to hand out some sticky notes. So you can write 1 or 2 questions on the sticky notes, and then let's paste it on this easel here afterwards. All right, so about 2 minutes thinking about 1 or 2 questions, how Jane can utilize data. So this data is public. Basically, every listing, when they have been listed, anything you can find on Airbnb.ca, I assume you have the access. No. You need a license from the city.
Well, that's great.
Yes, that's great. They're handing out, so just a little bit. A few questions from online audience. Yeah, just write 1 or 2 questions. Yes, yes.
One of the things I thought of was when she would get the return on her down payments.
Yeah.
Might return in 3 years, in 10 years.
Yeah. So yeah, that's something valid, right? Really think about, well, probably she needs lots of information. So based on, like, if we just look at Airbnb, right, the information that can be publicly available, right, how we can potentially use the data to help him, her make the right decision. So this is a great form of trade return, right? So that's probably top level thinking. Then you can break down, right? So in terms of getting the return back, mortgage, right? So what's the kind of levels you will invest? How many people will stay, right? What's the average revenue? So lots of questions from there.
When people speak, you can just repeat it because people on the Zoom can't hear them.
I see.
Or you can wait for us to deliver.
Okay. Yeah, but I think we're almost on time, so maybe 5 more minutes. Yeah. All right, so I know you are all very excited about this. We are a bit constrained by time. So if you have write down something already, let's get someone to help to collect these sticky notes, and let's just stick them onto the 2 easels here. I can. Yeah, so just come forward. The other side, we can do the same as well. If you already got something, just come forward and put it there. For those who are participating online, thank you so much for all these great, wonderful questions. I've seen them pop up in the chat, and it looks very wonderful. Yeah, just find a place. All right, wonderful. So it's very important to think about data-driven process, what kind of data we have, and whether some part of the questions can be answered. At least that's a good starting point to help to make the right decisions. So now let's check what we've got. See, these are the questions we had from the classroom. Thank you very much for this question. How do you feel? Well, it's hard to read, right? So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to demonstrate really how we are going to utilize AI for decision-making purposes. Taking one photo there. It's so wonderful. Second photo. So what I'm going to do is, so let's try a bit hard. So this is what I'm going to demo. All right, so that's what I did. I took a photo of all the great questions you came up with. And we're really just, it's hard for everyone to see, right? So that's what we're doing now. So that's great. So just to save the time, actually, I had some prompts prepared. So basically, I ask AI to help extract all the questions from these handwritten notes and categorize these into different categories and give me a few of the top questions, right? Asking students to write on paper is not a high tech in classroom anymore with the power of AI, right? It's a different process. So these are some of the great questions we've had. So it even recognizes the color of the sticky notes, right? So if you give people purposefully different kind of colors, you can summarize very well. Pricing, strategy, legal requirements, all of these are great questions. I think some are more related with what we can get from the data. So what I'm going to demonstrate next, probably I really need time to digest all the questions you got. But what we're going to do next is to open a new chat, and we're going to upload the data, the public data from that we can get about Airbnb listings, and we have some other prompts. So this is what you can do in GPT-4o. It really understands language, and especially computer language. So what it does is really trying to think about the questions. Oh, so that's one question, I think, on the list. How many Airbnb listings are there? 6,233, right? So that's the power of AI to empower analytics, even if you don't really have been trained extensively on analytics tools, you can really use the power here now, right? So there are price, all those things. So now let's ask a few questions. Yeah, probably we don't have time to go through the details of the question you came up, but let's try to get some of these questions. So who has the most number of listings? Jane, I wish, I'll tell her. She still needs to invest a bit. Jordan, 130 listings in Vancouver. Probably a property management company, right? So let's try to do another one, a bit more advanced. Please show all the listings on a map. Only visualize the listings for the whole houses or apartments and private rooms. Use different colors for each listing type. Use sizes to represent how many reviews are there, potentially the demand for these listings, right? So, and create an HTML file. So basically what this is, it's writing codes. And now you can download the map. These are the listings, Airbnb listings in Vancouver. You know where they are, right? So this is very powerful. I really believe I'm out of time. So you can also ask questions. Show me the patterns about COVID recovery in Vancouver. So these are the things you can now utilize. Actually, ChatGPT comes with very powerful analytical tools. And I have mentioned about what changed 2 days ago. So this is about 01. What I've done here, just as a demonstration, I asked the 2 questions, ChatGPT, with the new capabilities to create a web app for me regarding Airbnb in Vancouver. And this is what you get in 20 minutes. I didn't write any code. You just ask 2 questions. In ChatGPT, it gives you code, you copy paste into some editors, and you run it. This is the power. And even more, if you click, you can book it tonight. Booked. Great. So, all right. So, really out of time. So let me summarize very we're talking about opportunities here. When you sit here, I hope you do see the opportunity. One is analytics create great opportunities for business. AI unleashes opportunities for analytics. And the UBC Sauder will give you so much more analytics in the age of AI. With that, I would like to conclude. And thanks very much for coming here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chunhua. That was very interesting. And I heard a lot of reactions in the audience too. We were all really shocked at what you could show there. So lots of food for thought. So we will be taking a short break in just a moment. Let me just share a few announcements and reminders. We're actually going to do a 10-minute coffee break just because we're running a little bit behind schedule. So we'll kind of reconvene at 11:35 here in Vancouver, but to our virtual attendees, we've got about 10 minutes for you to get to know our student ambassador online. So virtual attendees, please stay online, ask your questions in the chat, and looking forward to that. If you're in the room here, feel free to kind of head out of the room, grab more coffee, grab another snack. As I said, washrooms are kind of down the hallway and to the right. And please take your garbage. We have kind of really good sorting here at UBC Sauder, and it's just outside the door. So if you have anything you need to sort there, please go ahead. We'll see you in about 10 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. For our audience online, if you have any questions regarding student experience, you can ask me in the chat. I am a second-year student of the full-time MBA program, so I'm happy to help you with any questions you have regarding student experience or anything MBA. I also have Jeremy with me, who will be helping out with some of the answers in the chat box. So feel free to ask. You can also let us know which program you're interested in. So if you're here for the MBA, MBAN, or MM, you can just drop it in the chat. And also, it would be nice to know where you're coming from. So let us know that too. So we have the first question. For a student choosing between universities for MBA, which one? Why would you recommend UBC? I can obviously speak from my experience and say why I chose. Some of the things that attracted me towards UBC were the fact that UBC is very well known for its research. And secondly, it's a university which has a climate track, and ours was the first batch to kind of go through that climate track. So those two things attracted me. Vancouver, of course, attracted me. But I think the highlight for me was the fact that whenever I connected to the previous cohorts in all the MBA programs, I think UBC stood out for me as being the warmest people and the warmest community. So those are my reasons, but those are like really tiny reasons. There are a bunch of reasons why UBC is the preferred choice for a lot of people. It doesn't hurt that we are number one in terms of ratings in the MBA in Canada. So yeah, I'm going to go on to the next question from Danielle. For MBAN, reference. I'll move to the next one for that. Okay, any recommendations and guidance for application process for full-time MBA? How do you know that expectations of the program differ from your expectations of the program offering? Okay, guidance for application process, I would say be yourself in the application, showcase who you are as a person, because there isn't like an one-size-fit-all that Sauder is looking for. We are known for our diversity, and the more diversity we have in our cohort, I think the better experience everyone has in the class, because we come from diverse backgrounds, diverse education levels, diverse experiences, and that kind of adds to the whole class experience. So being yourself is the best advice that I can give you. And well, Well, I think the program exceeded for the second part of the question about expectations. I think the program did exceed my expectations because I came in with an open mind. I had a long gap between both my undergrad and my master's. So I have 18 years of experience before coming into the MBA. So I was coming with an open mind of, if I want to pivot or, if there are things that I haven't explored in my career that I would want to explore. So I definitely took away a lot. And I think the program definitely exceeded in terms of giving me those industry touch points because I'm doing innovation and entrepreneurship. So for me, there were a lot of valuable connections that I made within the MBA. And I think it gave me perspective that I did not have. So that would be my take on it. I think the next question is also directed to Jeremy. What I can say more about I can display the QR code. Okay, I'm just gonna. Oh, this will stop screen sharing. Should I do that? Okay. So here's a QR code that you can scan and. Okay, here's a QR code. And you can scan this, and if you have additional questions, you can go ahead and ask. Also, would be nice to know where everyone's joining in from. So if you could write one line from which city you're coming in, would be lovely. Okay. We have one more question about, is there a positive? Oh, this is nice to know so many people joining from different. Is there a positive and negative gap between your expectation and real student life? Well, I think you don't anticipate the amount of work, and especially if you've had a longer career gap, you kind of tend to forget academics. And I think that's the only place I struggled with. And I would say just the 1 or 2 months in the beginning of the program to kind of set the pace in terms of academics, but I think you get good at it with time and you learn time management better.
Okay,
and it's
so
a good
green
thing.
now. Testing. Yeah. They can. Yeah.
It's actually a good thing also because it gives you perspective in terms of how you will manage your time later on. So I'm going to just quickly see where everyone is from. Okay. We have people from Zimbabwe, Ghana, London. Okay, how much time? Okay, generally, how much work experience do students have joining the program is expected? I think there's a requirement in terms of like the minimum work experience you have, but just the work experience within the cohort is very diverse. In the 2025 batch, my batch, I think the average work experience is about 6.5. The lowest would be like 3, I'm guessing. And the highest is more than 20 years. So there's a diverse set of experience. And as I said before, the more diversity you have in your cohort, the better it is because you get different perspectives, especially when you're doing casing or you're doing any group sessions or group study sessions. And within discussions within class are like much more useful when you have a diverse set. We have questions around Emban. Hi from Bangladesh. We have Shivangi joining in from Vancouver, Kelowna, Halifax, India. Seen people apply for the JD program once there is. Okay. Utkarsh has a specific question about the JD MBA program. I think you can get specific details about the JD MBA program on the website, but yeah, in our cohort, we had like 2 people doing JD MBA, and one of them went to Yale this year. So that's also an option. And I think it is a good mix in terms of the skill sets of law and business coming together. We have Drew from St. John's. And joining in from Toronto, we have someone from Japan. That's lovely. Wow. Max from Singapore, interested in MBAN. We have a question from Adnan. My question is about MBA program is like focused towards theoretical base, experience base. Are there chances to provide practical experiences, group projects, internships, or it's hybrid? First of all, it's not hybrid. The full-time program, you have to be present in class, in person. So that answers the last part of your question. And in terms of understanding between theoretical experience and practical experience, I think very early on in the MBA, the first 2 periods in the MBA, the first term in the MBA is about foundational courses, which is same for everyone. And after that, you kind of change into your specialization and you choose your electives and you design your program yourself, and each individual would design it according to them. So you do get class experience, but very early on in the MBA, you will be given like a live company to work with. And this is a consulting project that comes in first term. So know that there is a lot of practical touch points within the program, even if you do not do an internship. An internship is planned for the summer of the next year that you join the MBA. So 8 months into the MBA, you go into an internship, which is a full-time role. Some people choose to do an industry project or an entrepreneurial project. That's, again, a personal choice that someone has. But you do have industry co-op, which is graded, and you have to earn those credits for it. Last but not the least, you do have consulting projects throughout. So most of the MBA consulting projects will happen throughout. So we have also GIE, which is like the global immersion experience, where you're given a consulting project with a company outside of Canada. So it could be, again, you heard earlier the GI locations. So it could be in any of those locations worldwide, depending on where the location is for that particular year. So there is a lot of practical experience that happens. Also, I would like to highlight that towards the end of MBA, you will have courses with professors who are from industry and they're like actually working in industry, and they're adjunct professors. So there is a good mix of practical knowledge. There's a good mix of professors who are research-backed professors, and there are also a good mix of these people from the industry. So you get like good touch points in terms of practical knowledge, theoretical knowledge, and actual work experience throughout the MBA journey. I hope that answers your question. There is a question about Nishant. There's a question about someone opts for an entrepreneurial project in terms of internship. So the entrepreneurial project is not based on a stipend. If someone's giving you a stipend, then it actually is an internship. An entrepreneurial project would mean that if you are someone who wants to pursue an idea, you can use those 4 months to pursue that idea. In the meantime, although there are some options in terms of funding that are available to you, I can talk about detail offline, or you can connect with someone at UBC. There's something called as entrepreneurship in UBC, which does provide funding for very early stage concepts. There are some criteria for it. You need to be a team. You need to have a technical co-founder. So yeah, I hope this is helpful, but it's entrepreneurial project is like driven by you. So there isn't anyone paying you, but you can find funding, if that answers your question. Okay. But I can give you an idea about the amount of stipend someone gets. If you go into the Sauder website, you can download the summer internship report, so kind of get an idea about what people end up getting over the summer. If you are thinking more on a startup sort of a space, I think very close to the start of the summer is a lot of openings for early stage companies opening up to fresh MBAs getting into consulting projects. So I hope that will be helpful. We have more questions? Okay. I think we're going to have to move to... Okay, so I hope you can scan the QR code, and I think now you'll be joining the session back. And thank you so much.
I hope our virtual audience had a good chance to chat with our student ambassador and have some of their questions answered. We still have Tina in the chat answering your questions as well, and so please feel free to continue to contribute those there. We're really excited for this next portion, and you have great energy. I can see people are starting to have the coffee kick in, which is wonderful. So next up, we will be having a session from Martina. She will also be hosting our alumni panel. We have our alumni coming in now too, which is wonderful. So a little bit about Martina. Martina Valkovicova is the Assistant Dean and Director at the Hoegg Varshney Business Career Center, where she leads a team of passionate individuals who help students discover their career aspirations and prepare for their professional journey. Martina is a very proud UBC Sauder MBA alumna. Wonderful. From the class of 2011. She was born in Slovakia, a small country in Europe, in a village of about 500 people. Her dream since a young age was to travel across the world, and it has certainly come true. So far, she has lived, studied, and worked across 3 continents, Europe, Africa, and North America, visiting about 30 different countries. Her leadership career spans over 20 years and includes establishing European employment services in her home country, coordinating an IPO for an airline, and running an agency supporting entrepreneurs with a $250 million portfolio. She loves learning and also has a master's degree in economics, speaks 4 languages, and is currently learning Korean. Books and reading play a major part in Martina's life, and she aims to read about 100 to 150 books every year. So if you are a fellow reading nerd, she definitely wants to hear from you. When not reading, you can find her on long walks, writing poetry, meditating, or watching lots of tennis and cycling. So I'm very pleased to introduce you to Martina, who's going to walk you through some information about our fantastic career services we have as part of our programs. And with that, here's Martina.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much. I would like to make 2 notes. Korean is currently really kicking my butt. It is really hard. And if anybody wants to give me book recommendations, please come and talk to me. I always learn a lot, both from students and alumni and prospective students, because there's never enough books in our lives. And they actually are one of the best tools how to train empathy and critical thinking. Just in case you didn't know, research has proven that right now. So I'm going to be talking to you about owning your career. When you're going to come here, you're going to learn a lot of fun academics, and you just had a fantastic lecture. But the truth also is that your graduate programs, you are going to get out of them what you put into it. It's not just going to be that you're going to be learning all of these new technical skills in your lessons, but you will actually have to do some work around your career development. And in this school, you're very lucky because actually many of our programs have credited career courses. We've got personal and professional development weeks for you. We've got a vast network of alumni that we work with. About, for example, 40% of hiring managers for our internships for full-time MBA are actually Sauder alum. So we're going to be talking a little bit more about that. But I have a question for you first. I would really like to know, why are you here? What am I working with here? So take out your phone, and answer this question for me on Slido. So why are you here? It's anonymous completely. You can be as honest as possible. I love it. So why are you here? I want to see what are some of the reasons why do you want to do a master's program? Yes. Okay, career growth. Access to network, absolutely. They actually say that one of the biggest return on investments is the network when you come and do master's program. Yeah, continuing education, standard of education, opportunities to make money. Yeah, absolutely. Support my spouse. That's lovely. Learning leadership skills, national security, fabulous. Fun. Somebody's coming for fun. That's awesome. Career change, networking. Yeah, a lot of things, but every time I do this session, career is one of the top reasons, always one of the top 3 reasons why people come and do their master's degree. And that's totally understandable and logical because you want to advance your career, and career as a part of your master's, why would you want to come here, okay? Learning skills and networking. Networking is huge. I actually do a session for our students on relationship building and networking when you are in the program. So let's see how good you are and what do you think? What are the skills that the employers are asking for? Another chance to type up your knowledge up there. What do you think? Maybe you are already a manager running a team. What are you looking for? What do you think are the skills that everybody wants to have? Communication, analytical skills, absolutely. Emotional intelligence, very good. Adaptability is huge. Adaptability actually came up really strongly after COVID. Employers really that showed up in the skills that the employers want was adaptability. Communication. Communication has been for decades one of the top 3, top 4 skills for the employers. So let's see whether you are right. We are living in a very complex environment. You were talking about AI, and some of you were asking AI questions and how the school is using them. So for example, for our career services, we actually embedded advice about how to use AI, Gen AI, through all of our toolkits. We've got toolkits that range from how to do informational interviews and coffee chats, to your career mindset, to how to actually prepare for an interview. And all of them have AI and how to use AI embedded in them for your career. So this is the latest research that came out of the Graduate Management Admissions Council that surveyed hundreds of organizations across the world. And this is what they told them. Right now, these are the skills that they're really looking for. They're really relevant. So you can see many of those that you put out there are on that list. But then look what made the jump. So the lecture that you got today was very relevant, right? 17 spots, skills in using AI tools. 17 spots, right? Another one, technology, IT skills, some of the technical skills, but strategic thinking, problem solving has been on the list of the most desirable skills by employers for decades. That has not changed. And that's what I'm hoping you're going to actually enhance when you're going to come here. Okay, so you can see many, many relevant ones. Okay, on our team, we have a method to our madness when it comes to career development. We have what we call a career development model. And in the center of that model are you. It's you, who you are. Number one feedback I get from the employers when our students go out there to interview is they don't have a Korean story. They can't sell themselves. So that is something that we're going to be working with you on a regular basis to make sure that you know how to communicate what your strengths are. And no employer wants to hear that you are organized. Okay? We have emotional intelligence assessment that all of you will take. We are the only business school in the world that is providing emotional intelligence assessment to all of our students, including undergrads. You will have a chance to have a debrief with a certified coach. That debrief in industry costs about £1,500, and you're going to get it for free. So take advantage of it if you're going to join our school. We're going to learn about your values, about your strengths, because here is the thing. You might have all of those great technical skills that were out there, but you're going to be working with people and organizations for 8, 10, 12 hours at a time, and they want to know who you are as a human being. The variation of question, tell me about yourself, is going to come at your interview, whether you like it or not. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. So you will have to tell your story, communication skills, another piece of feedback that we get. Communication skills are key. You really need to know. If you don't know how to communicate about you, if you don't know how to translate information, you are not really differentiating yourself from other candidates. You're going to have a lot of experiences, whether it's cases in your classes, whether it's the community business project for internships in MBAN or MBA, there's going to be a ton of experience for you to learn from. And then our team also provides a lot of career opportunities. So we have a platform that's called Cool, Careers Online. And we have all of our events in there. Every year we do about 200 company recruitment sessions. About 7,000 jobs are posted on the platform. You can book your coaching appointments in there. So that's going to be the essential tool that you're going to be using when you're going to come here. And what we're going to do now is a little bit of an exercise. So if I can have the team to actually distribute a little one-pager. You know, I talked to you about your career, and there is a lot that goes into it. And I believe that the people online are going to get the one-pager as well. So oftentimes, the perception is, oh, I'll do a grad degree and somebody's going to give me a job on a silver platter. It does not work that way. The reality and perception are sometimes very different. You have to work for it. And so every one of your career journeys is unique. Every one of you have a unique journey. And so this quick check assessment is based on that model that I showed you. So I want you to take about 5 minutes now, and I want you to assess yourself. Put in there, you've got about 41. I believe there are about 41 checkboxes on that assessment. So I want you to check whether you're confident in that ability that's stated, whether there is an opportunity for growth for you, or you are unsure. So you've got about 5 minutes. You don't have to do the entire piece, but just have a look to make you think of all of the aspects that go into your career and where you are at, just to give us a little bit of baseline that we can work with, okay? So I'll give you about 5 minutes, and then we will have a little bit of a debrief. Yes, some people need pens. Okay. Can I help you distribute? You got it covered. Check, check, check. Pam, I think we need a couple here. Oh, can you put it in chat? Yeah. Done. So. Okay, let's do 1 more minute. And I know that we're having a little bit of an issue with the participants online. So don't worry, you'll get that sheet at some point. Yeah, email it after. We'll email it after. Okay, 1 more minute, and then we'll do a bit of a debrief. Mm-hmm. You are always, always. Okay. You can see some people already done. So let's have a little bit of a discussion. I saw you being very engaged before. So can anybody tell me, has something surprised you on that sheet? Was there something that you kind of feel like, oh, I didn't even think about it? Yes? What can you share? I would love for you to share. Anybody would like to share what surprised them? Yeah? Yeah, go for it.
This one, the salary and then job offer, multiple job offer handling at the same time. I never think about it. And also, I'm coming back from another country and I'm very new here. So I'm not, I was a banker since 14 years, as a senior manager, I worked. But we are on there, we have a good network. But here as a newcomer, I don't have anything. And also when I step up, I also don't work on that. So I have far behind from this as well.
Okay, don't worry, we'll teach you, we'll help you. Awesome. Okay, everybody's at the unique level. I think you had your hand up, yeah? Yeah.
It's have not much relevance with the with this kind of elevator pitch. They think that this one is assumed to be more beneficial to position like a sales, like marketing or business, who need to have those skills. But actually, now after I worked for many years, I realize you want to get a high ball offer, want to get a higher compensation. This skill is really useful.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and even now in the COVID, after the COVID, the economy goes down, and then in a job market, less jobs, but more people who graduate from the computer science or from accounting or anything. There are less pools, then we are more competitive. And then now we started to realize that, we need to learn something from where we used to not think that it's related to us.
Yeah, absolutely. You're totally right. And it's so important. Thank you for actually bringing this one up, because I see that this one actually, the pitch about you has got, like, it's really difficult and students struggle with that one, right? I actually say that your pitch of how you pitch yourself to the employer, how you tell your story is your movie reel. Do the people want to see the rest of the movie? Do they really want to see the rest of the movie? So here is a brave soul that's going to put their hand up to share this next experience, a question with me. I will buy you a coffee or I'll give you a book if you're going to be brave enough. Is there anybody here who would like to actually do that? Do their elevator pitch. If I asked you, tell me a little bit about yourself, what would you say? Is there anybody? Oh, look at you, you were fast. Okay, go for it. Maybe we'll hear a couple. Okay, so can we have the mic here? That would be awesome. Okay, we pass the mic. So let's hear what you've got to say.
Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm Sai. I'm a mechanical engineer by education. During the past close to 10 years, I've had my experience in motorcycle design engineering. I've also now switched into sustainable energy. So with my transferable skills, I can offer data-based decision-making. I'm an excellent team mentor and a team builder. And I can also solve problems in engineering and the product development for you. So that's unrehearsed, small 20-second.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so where do you think your skills can... Yes, let's give him applause. Put his hand up very fast. Okay, so some of those skills that you mentioned that you've got, where are they coming from? Is there a story behind them?
Based on work experience and like making mistakes, learning from them, applying them, applying those lessons learned for the future, and successfully solving problems during the next opportunity.
Okay, so all of that, what you said, is that on your resume? Can people see that on your resume?
Yes, but it's all those things are those that I've learned after coming to Canada. Like I've been here for at least 6 years now. But yeah, when I came to Canada as a newcomer, these were all pretty new to me. And things that I had worked back home in India, that I never realized on how to put them on paper.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm doing a reasonably good job by adding them on my resume now.
Okay.
And and that's what brought me for a very good job opportunity from the East Coast to the West Coast.
West Coast.
So,
okay.
Thanks.
Tell me something that's not on your resume. What's part of your story that you don't put on your resume, but it's interesting about you?
My extracurricular, I would say.
Yeah, extracurricular activities.
No, I'm a passionate. I'm not a trained singer, but I do some like passionate singing and some musical instruments as well. That's not something that I never thought of or ever thought of putting it on my resume, but just something that that's with me. But that's not on my resume.
Okay.
Other than that, something that really surprised me on this one is engaging with people who work in our areas of interest and attending industry events to learn about companies and their information sessions.
Okay.
That's definitely something that's
that you haven't done.
That I've never done.
Okay.
Before.
So you will have to do that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. So question for all of you. Should he be mentioning how can he use that information that he's passionate about singing when he's relating to people or going out there to company information sessions or when it's in his interview? Yeah? Yeah? He can mention communication. Yeah? Yeah. How would you? Yeah, there is Pam, right behind you, right there.
Maybe he can reformat his pitch in a song.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely not doing that.
Good,
no
good
way.
one.
No way.
Really good one. Really good one. Yeah? One more. A portfolio. There you go. A portfolio. Okay, so this is the thing. And thank you. Set it up really nicely. People, as I mentioned, people want to know who you are as a person. Don't start your pitches with reiterating your resume. Connect with people on something that maybe you have in common. You know, when you go for coffee chats or informational interviews, look at people's LinkedIn. What's the organization they volunteer for? What's the stuff that they're posting, right? And connect with them on human level. That's the first one where you can use it. And then when you're going to have that question, tell me about yourself, it is about, presenting you as a human and then tying it back into your professional piece. So let me give you an example, one more example from my own experience. When I interview for leadership roles, one of my absolutely core values is freedom. What was mentioned in there that I come from Slovakia, a tiny country that when I grew up was still a very isolated communist country. And so what I would communicate is my number one value is freedom. It really translates into my leadership. And how I lead people is I'll give them a vision, I'll give them objectives, and then I get out of their way. Because I really need to make sure that people are being developed, and this is how I lead them, right? Put something that you can think about that makes you into how you're communicating your story. That's what's going to differentiate you from everybody else. Because every one of you have got unique skills, you've got unique abilities. None of you are the same. I want you to look around the room. Look around the room right now. Look at people behind you. Look at people next to you, right? Every one of you knows something I don't know. Every one of you knows something I don't know. Remember that, right? And that's what you can work with. So I'm going to wrap up here a little bit with this quote. Many of you might have seen it before. But here is the thing. You are coming here to learn. You're already going to learn technical skills. You're already going to learn new concepts, new strategies, and so on and so on. Many of you forget, or maybe don't even think about, that you will also have to unlearn and relearn. And that's especially, and probably for you as well, who came here as a newcomer, for those people who are online and are tuning in from different countries. Your market and your countries might work very differently than what the Canadian market works like. You've got to unlearn and forget about how it works where you come from and learn how actually it works here. Canadian market is a very relationship-based market, so those coffee chats and informational interviews are going to be a must for your career. And the other piece is relearn. Some of you who are maybe coming for the PMBA or for the full-time MBA who already have experience, or even MBAN who have experience, you might not have a job interview or might not have had job interview for 2, 3 years, 4 years, sometimes even more. You will have to relearn how to brush up on your interview skills. So this is going to be a constant journey for you when you come and do your master's degree. And it's not only about the learning, you also will have to unlearn and relearn stuff, okay? So what we're going to do now, we're going to invite our alumni in to come, please, and sit here with us. But while they kind of like settle in, anybody's got a burning question online, or anybody's got a burning question about their career and stuff that we've talked about that you want to ask? You're all good? You're nodding? Yes?
The location one stuck out for me.
Yeah.
My understanding is most schools have a more localized network.
Mm-hmm.
What's your opinion on that if I'm not planning, if I want to go to the States and work?
Okay, work there. Location. So there was a question about for everybody, so you can hear about location. What's the opinion of location? Because most of the networks are localized. It is absolutely true. A lot of the schools have localized networks, especially the ones that are in the cities. They're based in the cities. There are some, University of Michigan in the US, right? Like they're middle of nowhere. Or somewhat, it's very different from University of Chicago or UFT, right? And here's the thing. I'd say do your graduate degree primarily where you would like to stay, or the proximity of the country, right? Because when I look at our employment data, between 65% to 85% of people come here because they want to stay in BC. They want to work here, right? And that's the network that you are paying for. 3 years after, we are seeing people moving, going a little bit of different places. But a lot of the people actually choose their master's degree based on geography. I'm not saying that they're not going to go away, but for many people, it's kind of like, I want to come here because I want to live here. I love this city and it's important for me where I'm going to live. So I'd say that 65% on average of our network is here, but we've got big network around the world. Like I think that we are almost in 200 countries where our alumni are, and they're ambassadors in those places. With the US, it's tricky, especially for the newcomers who, for example, don't have Canadian citizenship or American citizenship. Transferring into the US from here can be really hard because the work permits and everything is just almost non-existent. So I'd say, does that satisfy your question? Yeah. Okay, awesome. So we are going to go and talk to our lovely alumni. Can you please give them a warm welcome? And I'm going to do my little helper here. So first thing we're going to do is if everybody can introduce themselves and also say the program you graduated from, graduation year, and the current role.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan. I graduated from the MBA program 2023. And my current role is Director of Marketing and Operations at a company called RisePoint, an ed tech provider.
Hi, everyone. My name is Samson. Graduated from the Professional MBA 2023. I'm currently the Associate General Counsel at London Drugs. So basically, I'm one of the lawyers. And yeah, I think that's it, right?
Mm-hmm. Graduation year, yeah. You said that, right? Yeah, 2023.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sumaita. I'm from Bangladesh. I just came to Vancouver last year in August. Right now, I'm a data analyst at City of Vancouver. Just got extended after doing my internship. So yeah, that's about me.
Congratulations.
Hello, everyone. My name is Charlie. I graduated from the Masters of Business Analytics program in 2020. I grew up in China, lived in Minnesota, and then came here. Currently, I work as a data analyst at Electronic Arts, a gaming company, and I specifically focus on the quality and operations space. So I help people make decisions around testing coverage, resource allocation, and monitor software stability and performance, et cetera.
This one work as well? Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Rylan. I just finished up my my Master's of Management three and a half months ago. So a lot more used to being right there sitting where you guys are than over here. But it's nice to be back. And I'm now working as a contract medical sales rep. So currently working for Zimmer Biomet locally.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you again for coming. So I've got a few questions prepared, and then I do want to give a chance to people so you can ask your questions that you're curious about, both here and online. So just to tie it a little bit more to what we've talked about in a session, what would you say are the 2 skills for you that you are really using in your current job? Who wants to start us off? Rylan, you've got
I want an easy one. I was thinking about this one beforehand, and I've got one for you, but I put a lot of thought into it. So the MM was pretty fun. It had a lot of relationship building, which is what I would say I took the most out of it. You're getting peers. Our cohort was, I just saw the stats say 66% international, which was awesome. Being from a small town in BC and then coming down to Vancouver, meeting all these different people, different cultures, different countries. So making new friends with them, adopting the different cultures, making professional relationships with my professors, the staff here, which was fantastic as well, and also doing the community business project. So really working professional, making friends, and then moving into the career space. All of a sudden, you're meeting all these different people in all these different roles, and being able to adapt to all these people and really get your point across, know efficient modes of communication, and all that was really helpful for me.
Yeah. So are you using the relationship skills now really in your role? Is it something every day?
I sure am. So I day in, day out, I'm working with surgeons. I'm working with ordering clerks. I'm working with people who clean operating rooms after surgery. So I'm working with absolutely everybody. And I would say so far I've made some pretty healthy relationships with a lot of them. So it's definitely been a large aspect of what I do now.
Okay, awesome. Well, go for it.
Kind of echoing Rylan's point, humanizing, I think, like transactions, like maybe it's a bit specific to my job, but I think as a lawyer, usually you would see the other party as just another contract party. But I think having an emphasis on relationship, knowing how to utilize that and see the other side as more of a human, actually makes my job a lot easier in negotiation and conflict resolution. A good example, an example I can give is, there's a deal where I have to represent London Drugs with a service provider for a contract, and it was going absolutely nowhere because we just have a very different perspective on what we need them to do and what they can provide. But at the end, once we kind of take the contract out, and actually I just want to listen to what is bothering them. Is it that they felt they can't trust us because some of the terms are too punitive? So I think once you take the contract out and actually see the other side as more of a human, and it's something I learned through the MBA as well, like relationship building, even if the other side is, kind of the conflicting side, you can get a lot out of it, and you can solve the problem without playing this zero-sum game, and actually, find a solution that makes sense for the other side on a personal level.
Okay, thank you. So Maita, what about you? What are the skills that you are using?
Since I have a technical role, the technical skills are given. You really have to know what you do, and you need to get your tech stuff right. But apart from that, I think communication skills are very important, and adaptability is really important. Especially if you work for the government at City of Vancouver, there are different types of people working. There are senior people, and you also work with people who are going to retire in the next 4 months. So you might be of that personality, just fresh in the market, and you have a lot of, drive to get things done. You can be like that with a certain group of people. But when you work with a group of people who are seniors or are about to retire, you need to change and adapt yourself to how you communicate with them, because your communication style might not work the same way as it has worked when you work with, people who have just joined the company, things like that. So I think it's how you communicate, and knowing that people would not have answers to all the questions. So you need to ask the right question and be open to understanding things from other department as well, or open to, going out there and asking for help, and being okay if they are not willing to provide you the help due to, time constraints or anything, So I guess communication skills and adaptability is very important.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm going to switch. I'm going to ask Charlie and Jonathan here, what you wish you've known before you started your programs? That's a tough one, isn't it? Yeah, you can start us. Yeah.
I'm going to give maybe a little bit of a controversial answer. I think I wish I had known that business school didn't have to be my entire identity. I was a new immigrant in Canada, so all of my friends, or the first group of friends, were from Sauder, and more specifically from the business analytics program. And today I look around, all of my friends are in the data space. Now I feel like this year I've been trying to branch out a little bit more, reconnecting with some of the friends that I made through the MBA program actually. This person came from the food industry, and then I would talk to his friends, and some of them are restaurant owners, and some of them are have a small business on the side for health products, etc. It really just opens up a mind that, you know, this whole world isn't just about data analytics. This whole world isn't just about Jira, isn't just about dashboards, etc. There's actually different ways to make money, different ways to provide value for other people around you. So I think that's one thing that I wish I had known and done a little bit more, is to reach out to people that are not doing this data analytics, that are not in business school, and see what they think and what ideas they have, and what I could potentially incorporate into my career journey.
That's fantastic. Thank you for actually sharing that. And that will be definitely advice for everybody who is going to join us. UBC is a fantastic space. Venture out of Sauder, right? Okay, Jonathan, what about you?
Yeah, so I want to emphasize that this is a safe space for you to learn more about yourself. So when I first came to the program, I knew what I wanted kind of like after the program. And I was like pursuing that, trying to put all the coins in that specific, skill that I wanted to do. But then after some time, being part of the courses, talking to people, I said like, hey, there's so much that I don't know and that I can try right now, and that this is going to be a safe space for me to do it. So I pivoted like 5 times, I think, during the MBA. I tried a little bit of entrepreneurship. I tried a little bit of like finance. I tried a little bit of consulting. I tried a little bit. So I tried a bunch because I wanted to know more about myself and what I was capable of. And I think the program allowed me to do this in touch with all my friends and colleagues and network that I had here. So professors are amazing. Classes put you in a spot that you have to rely on some abilities and skills that you do not have, but you have to kind of put it out there. So you try and learn. So I think what I wish I'd known before is that you can learn about yourself. This is the right space for you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to check, do we have any questions online from people? Okay. I've got many questions that we can ask. Do you have questions from the audience here? I want to give you a chance. Okay. Let's do the audience questions a little bit. Okay. We've got mics so everybody can hear us, and especially people online. Can we provide mic right here? Yeah.
So my guess is either most of you are new to Canada, maybe not you. I'm more looking into the PMBA. I've got 9 years of sales experience. Communication, relationship building, that's what I do day in and day out. I'm just curious if any of you went into this program specifically looking at leadership roles. So maybe you can speak to this. It's a smaller tech company, but what are some skills you've learned in terms of vision, in that director role, and not so much on the analytical side, because that's really where my interest is.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So my day-to-day is basically I have a bunch of problems and I have to prioritize the problems, and I have to find people that collaborate with me to solve the problems and make sure that they have the whole strategy. So this is basically what the MBA does to you. You have a challenge. You're going to look at trade-offs, pros and cons, or maybe like 1 or 2 or 3 alternatives, and you're going to have a multicultural team with you to do it. And it's interesting because, of course, like we are in a place that it is multicultural. Like you see people from all over the world, but it's different when you are problem solving something, and then you kind of find the ways and you learn from different people. So I use a lot of like what I've done during the MBA in terms of like how to prioritize, how to make sure that I have the right empathy in game, and how I communicate to people so I win hearts and minds during the game, as well as problem solving in a way that's good for the organization and for the culture that I'm involved in. So I've learned that at a place that I could try again and learn more about myself. Another thing which is important, like to the management piece at a director level today, is I also know a bunch of skills that I can rely on based on reports and stuff that I can find easily for the teams I'm creating. So it's just like, okay, I understand how I normally work. This is my culture. This is how I'm going to manage my team. But what's out there? Like, what can I actually bring from the outside world? And here in the academia, like, you can find professors and different themes and subjects that are really important to the society that they are debating. So sometimes it's something new that's rising, and then you can think about it, and then you can come back to this network that you have and ask people what's happening, and rely that for you to like structure teams and structure projects and so on. So the network is also going to provide you that perspective.
You said you're interested in PMBA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think how it helped me, because I got promoted to this position after the program. I think it helps me position myself as a business partner to the other departments. So, specific to legal team, oftentimes in-house lawyers are seen as a barrier to business units. We're the department that says no to everything. But through MBA, I think you start, like I start to see things beyond myself. I start to see problems and solutions beyond my department. Like, it's great that I see all the legal risk, but that's not how you do business. So the way I can communicate with marketing on, their social media campaigns, how to deal with influencers, how to deal with TikTok, with pharmacy, how they want to digitalize, their offerings. A lot of these things, I have to have the humility and I think the ability to interpret and also translate like legal language to them and interpret their business language to me at the same time. So I think that's what you're going to get from PMBA is that, ability to connect with people who are outside of your expertise and form that relationship in something that's more symbiotic.
I would like to add to that from a leadership perspective and developing your leadership skills. All of you, no matter which program you're going to go into, you can get involved in the student government and, be the representatives and leaders of your cohorts. That is an excellent way without having those positions of power to actually develop your leadership skills. You will have to influence, and that's what the employers are really looking for. It's for influencing. And we also have a number of mentorship programs. So for example, for the MBAs and PMBAs, we've got a leadership mentorship program. So you're going to have also some co-curricular activities where you can practice actually those skills and get something out of it outside of the regular curriculum. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Any other, we have at the back there, I think we've got a question. It's just for the people online because they would not be able to hear the question.
So my question is for Samson, more about the professional MBA. So how much were you able to leverage faculty or the alumni network outside of your classroom as a professional MBA?
Yeah, alumni network, not so much. Not yet, at least. I mean, I just graduated 2023. I think the faculty, for sure. Actually, I got a lot out of GNAM, interestingly. So one of the GNAM that I did in person, so I don't know if I should explain what GNAM is. GNAM is like, it's like an exchange. Mentioned it. Yeah, so I did the one in Tokyo with Hiroshi, and it's on intercultural kind of business strategy. And it's something that I believe strongly because I don't think there's just one way to do business or one way to solve a solution, like solve a problem. So I kind of take that in my own work as well, based on what I learned from the faculty over there. Because, the way Japanese business do things is quite different, than the West. And London Drugs being a company that's founded by a Chinese family, fourth generation. So our company culture is kind of a mix of Asian value and Western values. So it actually fits really well with, the way I learned from the exchange and apply it to my own work. And I'm actually currently working on a business paper with Hiroshi on the side. So I think you can get a lot out of these experience outside of just what you see locally in Vancouver. So yeah, I think the PMBA gives you those opportunities.
Thank you. And I'm going to actually do a little bit of a follow-up. Any of you who did the specialty masters, how do you use the alumni network? Have you used alumni network in any way? And was it helpful? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was very helpful for me. So networking is really important. And to be very honest, like I'll share a recent experience. Somebody from City of Vancouver who was like interviewing me, he was also a part of the alumni. So when you talk, you get to, they tell you a lot about their experiences and what they have learned at UBC and like how they have applied it to the role. So when you talk about all of these things, it really shows up in the interview. And while I was interviewing for City of Vancouver, before the interview, I networked with somebody who also did an internship with City of Vancouver from the previous year. And when I mentioned him during the interview and what I've heard about the team from them, they were immediately very happy that, okay, this person's really interested in this job and is talking to people. So I guess in that way, the alumni has really benefited me, at least when getting the job at City of Vancouver. Yeah.
Rylan, Charlie, anything to add to that?
Yeah, we had a LinkedIn in this room. We talked about LinkedIn and just reaching out to, I was even like UBC alumni, and it's such an expansive network out there. And if you message somebody and it pops up for them, also went to UBC, I mean, your chances of getting a response are so much higher. So you can only imagine how many people have gone to UBC. I thought that was great. I shot messages to people I would never have ever talked to, and a lot of them responded, and we had some virtual coffee chats, and just growing your knowledge, your network, exactly like you said, just being able to reference some people in the space. And then specific to the MM, it's such a broad range that the people that I went to school with are now getting hired in. So looking towards the future, there's so many opportunities for collaboration between the people that went to school. It's not narrow by any means. I mean, we're all across the world and we're doing a whole range of different career paths. So I'm excited to see kind of what our class is going to be able to do, forming those relationships and then being able to use those in the future to our advantage. So it's going to be good.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, we've got a few. Oh, there is one online. Okay, let's switch and do one online.
Thanks. This is a question to Samson and Jonathan. So why did you choose to do MBA at that point of your career? What made you decide to do MBA?
I mean, for me, it was a pandemic thing. In a way, I wasn't doing anything anyway. And it really helps in-house jobs specifically, where I don't want to be just a lawyer. I want to be someone who can provide solutions in many different ways. And having, I think, that business knowledge really does help. To be honest, do I need the degree? No. I think I can get to where I am without the degree, but it will take time. And I wouldn't have the same credibility when I talk to business units, talk to different vendors. So it makes my job a lot easier. And I think transferability, it's a big part. I don't know about other professions, but legal is very jurisdictional, very territorial. So if I ever wanted to move elsewhere, if there's opportunity, being just a lawyer is not enough. So I think the MBA gives me that kind of global exposure, not just from skills, but also the network.
Jonathan, go for it.
Yeah. So I think my career was really, it was good before even joining the MBA, but I always thought about I do not have the whole general management foundation in place. And I was thinking long term, okay, what's going to happen in 5-10 years? I'm going to have a different type of subjects that I have to join dots as I'm working specifically. So I really wanted to expand that knowledge. And it was both basically academic, but also trying to understand how to understand the business as a whole. And it was coming to me. So when I decided that I wanted an MBA, I wanted to do it full time because I wanted to be immersed and understand where my gaps were and where my strengths could be leveraged. And one trade-off that happened to me during the MBA was, should I focus on my strengths or should I focus on my weaknesses? And how should I deal with that? So it came to place, and I felt that I got this foundational business acumen that I didn't have before that's going to leverage me even further in my career in the long term. So when I joined the MBA, I really thought about the long-term perspective that this can help me, not only with the network and people, but also like, okay, what should I learn and how I learn was important to me.
Thank you. I think we have more questions. Yes, at the back there. Yeah, in the white shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. So my concentration was entrepreneurship and innovation. Yes, the answer is yes. I think the support that Sauder gives you is a bunch in terms of entrepreneurship. So we have the E at UBC that's going to leverage some ideas, but during the courses, what I found out is that you learn that entrepreneurship has a lot to do with also putting your idea in place. So so the courses you can take, so there is one called Techie, technology entrepreneurship, that you try to actually leverage one idea and get out of just the plan after 2 terms. And there are other classes such as finance entrepreneurship, and that's going to leverage you like this whole perspective of how to take a business from the ground and make sure that it happens. And the professors and the network is always good for you to have a good relationship with investors and other type of like how you want to leverage your business financially at the beginning. So it's going to be a balance of your idea, how you iterate, how you pivot along the way, how to make sure that the relationship you are building is correct, and how you're going to get out of this like whole journey. So I don't think I hope you can do it, but it's going to be hard to do this while you are taking different courses and stuff. But this school is going to provide you the right tools for you to keep pushing your dream to get there. So yes, I think it was worth it, and it was a really good foundation for me to understand what entrepreneurship is about, how you leverage one idea, and how to put to market.
Okay, thank you. And there is another initiative that's called Creative Destruction Lab, and they do courses as well. So there is an entire ecosystem around the university where you can learn. Okay, I think you were very eager to ask the question. Do we have a mic so actually people can hear right here?
So I have 2 questions. For example, if you're going into your undergraduate for first year, do you think it's important to reach out and network to people that are like much older or in another like faculty? And how? What's the most important thing that you can, for example, join in order to achieve that? The second question is, has any of you decide to start on like a business during your early stage of studies? For example, during high school or like your undergraduate 1st or 2 years? Yeah.
So, anyone?
I can take the second part. So I did open a business of my own, but before I joined the MBAN program. So when I was in probably just graduated from high school. So I always had this drive that I want to solve problems. And the problem in my country was that women were not getting pretty enough footwear. So I opened up a footwear company. But the great thing that happened was I've moved from that stage. I've sold the business to my parents. Yeah, and here I am exploring other things, in Canada. But what I still find myself doing is that the things that I did in class, for example, we had a course called optimization. So my parents were often talking about problems that they face in the business with production lines and all that. So I used my skills from here and helped them with the business. So I guess starting a business is more about like the drive, that more than, when you're young, you're less scared to lose things, right? So you start doing, all sorts of, adventures. But then once you get a job and then you have the paycheck coming in every month and you're like, okay, am I asking for too much from life? Should I really do it? So I guess more than, like things that you learn in courses, it should be the mindset and like being really focused on what you want. So if you're really focused on having a business of your own, then you have to keep that in the forefront, like, and not, just lose yourself in the comfort of getting a stable paycheck every month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Charlie, you were nodding. Do you have anything to add there?
Yeah, I actually want to just tie that back to the first question, which you were talking about figuring out what you really want, etc. I think when you're a student, it's a really good time to talk to people who've been working for a long time, who might have gone through career switches, etc., to figure out whether you would actually enjoy doing what they do. There's probably a lot of people in this room who is actually looking for a career change because they don't like what they are currently doing. And I've gone through a career change, right? I started in clothing design, and then it looks great in movies. I absolutely hated the experience in person. So I think while you're still in school, you still have the chance to switch, like cut your loss early, chat with people to figure out whether you actually would enjoy doing what they do from the day to day, and ask them what their biggest struggle is, right? Like every job has something that you probably don't like. Is what they don't like something that you're willing to deal with? So I think it's a great time to start networking. Yeah.
Can I ask?
Okay, hold on. There is,
like being a student is the best time to network, honestly, because you have the ultimate card to ask anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because if someone who's like a senior accountant wants to like message me or like trying to sell something, like there's always some kind of agenda when you're at certain professional level. But student, I think it matters more. Did you know why you want to network with that person? Like the one thing that I personally hate the most is, I have law students who would reach out like, oh, I just want to know what your day-to-day is. It's not that exciting. I mean, it's not what you see in Suits, but I need something more concrete. Like you have to come at me with something more specific. Is it like, what's like at a retail pharmacy? I've seen you sell so many things at London Drugs. Is it really difficult to balance? So I need something a bit more concrete. So I think if you're going to network, try to talk to people more senior and whatnot, just be very intentional. What do you want to get out of that specific conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so just one thing in the relationship piece. So I when I did it, like I tried to structure myself. So I had my own CRM, like I had an Excel with like the companies. I had the reasons. I had it was a really structured mindset of what I was trying to get out of my conversations. And I also had like my script. So I worked on that based on the skills I wanted to leverage. So it wasn't something like, oh, I saw a good person. Like, okay, I'm gonna send a LinkedIn message. No, I had a plan. So it was a project for me to understand more what I wanted to do. So I put like some effort to really have a plan. It wasn't something unstructured when I did. And I think it helped a lot because I got what I wanted from some conversations and that became a loop in which people talked about me or maybe referred me to someone else, which was really good for me to keep it pushing my relationship status here in Canada.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And I think we've got one more question. Anybody out there? Yes, go for it. Can we have the mic? Awesome.
Thank you so much. So I am switching up a little bit because I have questions for MBA people. So Charlie and Smita, I wonder, so there are many programs which are teaching data analysis and data science, computer science, all the technical skills. Now, what I am looking for and what I thrive and what I have thirst about is to be able to combine that with decision-making based on your business skills, business knowledge. So I wonder, the first question is how much of the business aspect do you actually get out of the program? And the second one is how do you utilize it in your current jobs?
I think what makes MBAN different, the reason that I chose UBC MBAN was because of the business skills that you learn alongside the technical skills. So all the assignments that we had done in class, everything was related to some form of business problem. So when you solve it, and when you solve countless assignments like that and case studies like that, you read the business problem and you apply your knowledge on it. So once you go out there to the job market, you can really reflect back on the things that you've done, and it helps you propose things. So let me just real quick give you an example of a project that I was working for at City of Vancouver. It was about HR consultants and like how their programs are really helping people and what the effects are. So I related it with one of the hackathons that I'd done during MBAN. So it was about showing the different traffic and how policies were affecting traffic and accident levels, right? So the skills that I used over there, we didn't use any sort of machine learning in that. We used normal visualization. And what I thought was that I don't need any crazy model to solve their problem or to see what's going on. So I can just do it through a very very good dashboard using the right charts. So I guess like when you are doing so many different things from descriptive, prescriptive, predictive, when you are doing all sorts of technical skills and applying these skills in different projects, you really know which tool to use at what time. So I guess it's just how diverse it is that really helps you. And what was the second part of your question?
Oh, like how much of the business knowledge and skills that you acquired from the program do you actually use in your current job? But I think you already, already answered my question, so that's good. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
What about you, Charlie?
I think what I benefited most from business school was the ability to learn. A lot of us can probably relate, especially if you work in a function that is more like a service function in a company or a central function. You kind of jump from subject to subject all the time. In my day-to-day, sometimes I'll work with people who test the games. There's people who focus on the software performance and stability. At my last job, there's people in operations, there's people in marketing, etc. So you have to kind of be able to learn fast. And I think business school really taught me that the skill to understand your customers, basically. Probably really applicable in sales, really applicable in legal, is to be able to kind of talk to people who are doing different things, right? And understand what problems are they trying to solve, and how can I bring data to the table, because they don't know data analytics. They're not going to give you an ask to solve a problem using whatever algorithm that you're picking. They have problems that they don't even know that could be solved by data. It's your job to talk to them, to figure out what their problem is, to know where they come from, what their pain points are, and then you can come up with proposals to solve those problems for them. So I think business school taught me those skills.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. And I know that we are, Nicole is telling us that we need to move on. So, but I do believe that some of you are joining us for lunch, right? So there is still, you can continue the conversation. There is a lot of brain trust here in these 5 people. So I would encourage you to talk to them. Thank you so much for your attention. Enjoy lunch, I believe. And then, staying here, few more announcements. Nicole's got a few more announcements, but thank you so much. And can we please give them a warm thank you? Thanks so much, you guys. Thank you. Awesome. Announcements. Okay, you are released.
Thank you so much once again.
Clicker? Do you know where I put it? I have no idea.
We'll just use this. That's fine. Okay. Wonderful. So before we break for lunch, I just have a few key things, kind of the nuts and bolts behind things you may be wondering if you're thinking about applying to our programs. So I just want to kind of highlight a few things here. I will go quite fast because I want to get you to your food, but we have some application deadlines coming up. I will note specifically if you're interested in our PMBA and you're hoping to start with us this January 2025, we have our final round deadline, as Rodrigo mentioned, coming up on October 1st. So please pay attention. That's going to be a pretty quick one. But if you're thinking for future, starting in January 2026, you'd be looking at kind of applying as early as the springtime. So that's kind of a quick note. We have all our other programs kind of listed there, and please come and chat with us. I'll show you who you want to chat to in just a moment to find out more about how to kind of navigate the application process, what it means when we say, you can see here at the bottom, if you're looking at a GMAT or GRE waiver, what that entails. Happy to run through that with you and always give some more details. I will also note, if you're thinking again for a future intake, we had an early bird deadline on September 3rd that has already passed for full-time MBA and JD MBA, but you're still welcome to apply for other rounds. But often the advice is apply as early as you can if you're ready. It just kind of helps you be more prepared, helps us know your intention, that kind of thing. For those of us who are joining or who are international students or a virtual audience as well, mostly, we do have our international application deadlines coming up, which you can see there. Our first round will be October 15th. And then a key thing to point out here on this slide is that a GMAT or GRE waiver will only be considered up until January 10th for our international applicants. So please make sure to complete your application in full by that date if you're planning to request a GMAT or GRE waiver. We do have a number of scholarships and awards. This is actually, if you can believe it, some, not all. And so I just wanted to highlight that our awards are automatic consideration. It's a common question we get. So you don't need to submit a separate application or write a separate essay or anything like that. Our awards are merit-based, but they are also tied to specific deadlines. So if there's something that you think you might be a really strong candidate for and you hope that we'll be considering you for that award, please make sure to pay attention to those deadlines, particularly early bird for domestic, the early entrance for domestic applicants. Please make sure you're applying by January 10th for some of these consideration, as well as our regional awards for our international applicants should be trying to apply by January 10th in order to be considered for those. You can see that scholarships come from a number of different kind of criteria. So identity around international students, Canadian students, Indigenous applicants, women, underrepresented communities, program specific. So there's a number of different categories that we're looking at. And there's also scholarships based on community involvement, leadership, and global impact. So lots of different opportunities that you could be considered for there. Again, the nuts and bolts of our admission requirements are all listed on our website. These are just a few quick links for you to try to navigate to those. So looking at our kind of GPA requirement, the GMAT or GRE score, et cetera. So again, we'd be happy to walk you through it, but this is kind of a nice quick link to get you to that information for at least these 4 programs, but they're all on our website. And so, as I mentioned, come and talk to us. This is why we're here and why we're hoping to do this in person today and why we've been having Tina on the chat for our virtual attendees, because we want to answer your questions. We know that considering a journey like this comes with a lot of those. And so I just want to highlight a few of the faces you'll see around today. So we have Dharm, who's our Assistant Dean, Recruitment and Admissions. We also have Rodrigo, who you heard from earlier, and Pam here today as well. And then we have Alina Yukhymets from the MBA programs from our student experience team as well. You'll see her a little bit later for the Yale session introduction. We also have a number of other staff supporting our recruitment and admissions as well as our students. So we have Maya, who you might have seen at the registration table, Jeremy, who is helping with the tours today and a number of other things, and Nandini as well at the registration. And then Jessica Lam, who's joining us again from the student experience team, who is our manager of global learning. So again, feel free to talk to anyone from our team. And then lastly, we have a really great team of recruitment managers. I say that because I'm on the team myself as well. Everyone's fantastic on the team. And so we have Tina, who's here today, who's been at the front manning the chat. We also have Patricia, who, if you've been interested in the PMBA or maybe even the full-time MBA, you may have interacted with. She's unable to join us today, but you might see her in our coffee chats. Myself, who focuses on the MM program. And we also have Daniel, who will be joining us soon to focus on the Master of Business Analytics. But anyone from our team is able to kind of speak about any of these programs, so don't hesitate to chat with us. You can connect with us by booking a meeting, either virtual or in person, or you can also join our future events. We have a number of sessions that we do online as well as in person, so definitely keep your eye out for that. And that's a way to kind of deepen your knowledge, to get your questions answered, and to kind of further your engagement with us and help make sure you submit a competitive application. Our contact information as well. Apologies for the speed here, but this is how you can kind of reach out to our team specifically for different programs. And that's it. So I know it was a lot at the end there. I do want to thank all of our virtual attendees for joining. So next steps, what can you expect now? So we will be having lunch in a moment up in CPA Hall for those in person. For those of us who are joining us online, you're welcome to stay on the Zoom call or log back in. We're going to be starting our kind of dual degree information session for the Yale dual degrees at about 1:15. So in about 25 minutes, or sorry, 25 minutes or so. So if you are planning to come to that, you'll be coming back to this room. Otherwise, feel free to kind of head upstairs and grab some lunch. And thank you again so much for joining.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Alina Yukhymets, and I'm Director of MBA Programs at the Robert H. Lee Graduate School at the Sauder School of Business. And it's my absolute pleasure to welcome you to this session here today. I've been at UBC Sauder for a number of years now, and I always feel it's a privilege for me to witness students' journeys and to be part of that and to be part of sharing in the experience and the journey of our students. And so I'm very happy to see all of you here at the beginning of your educational journey, hopefully with UBC Sauder or wherever you may end up within our programs. So becoming a student at UBC Sauder opens many doors for you and gives you an opportunity to participate in experiences that expose you to different cultures and to different contexts. And I've seen many students participate in our international exchanges and summer study abroad, depending on your program, global immersion experience. You saw that mentioned before for our full-time MA, for instance, summer study abroad for our PMBA students and MM students, Master of Management students, as well as online global courses and the global network weeks. So many of our students participate in these opportunities and really truly gain a lot of experience and knowledge and really value from them for their future lives and careers. So for this session, we're actually really excited to highlight specifically our dual degree programs with Yale School of Management. So we have a dual degree program with our Master of Management at UBC Sauder and Yale GBS, as well as the MBA program at UBC Sauder and Master of Advanced Management at Yale. With students who participate in these programs, really have a chance to get 2 degrees in 2 years and have a chance to have experience in 2 amazing institutions. So with that, I am pleased to welcome Matthew Lassans, who has flown in all the way from New Haven, Connecticut to be with us here today. And we're really appreciative of the fact that you're here with us today, Matthew. Matt is Assistant Director for Admissions at the Yale School of Management. And welcome, and please share more about yourself and about the programs here today for our students, prospective students. Thank you. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you for having me. So as mentioned, my name is Matthew Lassans. I'm the Assistant Director for Admissions with Management Master's programs. And those specifically are, as mentioned, the MAM and GBS degrees, which can be combined with your MM or MBA degrees here at UBC. So what are we going to be talking about today? In short, the Master of Advanced Management, as I mentioned, which can be combined with your MBA degree here at UBC, the Master's in Global Business and Society or GBS degree. You're going to hear me use a lot of acronyms. I apologize in advance, which can be combined with your Master of Management here at UBC. And we're going to talk a little bit about, what the program looks like, what is the dual degree, some of the resources at Yale and at SOM, and then a little bit about student life at SOM and at Yale. So what are these programs? 1-year degree programs that are customized by you. So they allow you to choose the courses that you really want to take, and we'll dive into that curriculum a little bit later. But it allows you the opportunity to go deeper or go a little bit broader, add on to what you learned at UBC in your first-year program. Join a community of purpose. We're going to talk a little bit more about our mission at Yale and just what it's like to join that community of purpose that's always looking and striving to do what's right in business and society. Talk a little bit about clubs, events, and speakers that are coming to Yale and some of the other opportunities. And then, of course, the Yale University Network.
This year's class profiles, as you can see, our MAM cohort was made up of 40 MBA graduates from 24 different MBA schools. And on the other side, you're going to see our GBS class, which is 73 MIM graduates or MM graduates, which came from 11 different schools across the globe. And obviously you're wondering, well, is it harder then to get into the MAM versus GBS? I would say it's about the same. GBS usually has a little bit bigger pool of applicants, and part of that is based on kind of the stage they're in their career. So as you're going to see, the MAM class averages about 7 years work experience and comes in at an average age of 31, some younger, some older. So that's just an average. On the other side, you see the GBS cohort, which is about 24 years old and has about 14 months of work experience. So that is a little bit different, definitely different stages in their career, and probably part of the reason why the applicant pool is a little bit bigger in the GBS side. With that, some of the fun facts that we have: 45% women in MAM, 55% in GBS, which I think is great. We always love to see that number. I know a couple years ago it was in like 20s and 30s, so it's great to see that number continuing to rise and get to that level. And then just some fun facts: 98% and 99% international passport holders. And the students are coming from respectively 22 and 24 different countries around the world. So it's truly a global cohort. I think it's just unbelievable to see those types of numbers in what are a bit smaller of programs. Now, why would you want to pursue the MAM or MMS GBS degree? You've got your MBA, you've got your MM, you could go out and get a job. But if you want to build off of that, go a little bit deeper, go a little bit broader, take your education a little bit further, you absolutely can do that. A lot of times students will find that they found a new passion or they found an interest that they wanted to just go a little bit further in, but maybe they didn't have the opportunity in that 1 year, in that first year. So this is a great opportunity to add on to that. And as mentioned, go extraordinarily deep. Maybe you're interested in healthcare management, fintech, nonprofit, something like that. Or flip side, maybe you want to shore up some soft skills, maybe add a little bit more, or take some classes that you think you might be interested in like art, drama, environmental science. I always mention with that, we have a lot of students that presenting is something that they feel they could develop. Take a class at School of Drama. We have so many students that do that and come back and say it was such a change for them professionally and being able to present themselves, whether it be in an interview or at a conference or something to that level. So the MBA plus MAM or MM plus GBS, what are you kind of getting? And this is where we're looking at the power of two. So 2 degrees, 2 brands, 2 countries, 2 networks in 2 years. So you do your first year at UBC, you come to Yale for year 2, and you're getting all of these great resources and things at your disposal. And it's not just UBC's resources, network, brand behind you anymore. It's now Yale's brand, network, and everything else as well. And they complement each other. They allow you to have an even more globalized network and make even more connections, friends, and just go even deeper into your experience. As I mentioned, community of purpose. So our mission at the Yale School of Management is to educate leaders for business and society. And that's something that comes from the top down. Our dean all the way down to the last student that leaves the classroom at the end of the day. Everyone believes in this mission. It's something we look for in our students. We want people that are driven to make an impact, not just in business and, to make more money, that's great, but also to know that they're going to make a societal impact. They're going to be leaders that are going to be facing the challenges of today, tomorrow, and the future in nonprofit or, private, public, governmental sectors. We want people that are going to be the leaders that are thinking about business and society as they tackle these issues that are for years to come. So definitely an important part of what we look for in students and something that we genuinely believe in from the top down. And I'm sure on a side note, we have one of our MAM graduates, Jonathan, with us, and he can definitely talk a little bit more about that as we go into it. So Yale SOM and sort of what does the school look like? So it's made up of a few different cohorts. We have the MBA cohort, which is about 350 students each year, and there's 2 years, so about 700 students. MBA for executives, or EMBA, which is about, I believe, 75. the MAM program, as you saw, which was 40 this year. We have our MMS program, so asset management, sys risk, global business and society, technology management, public education management. And those all kind of have varying numbers, as you saw, 73 for global business and society. I believe asset management, I always forget if it's asset management or sys risk, usually has about 15 to 20. And then the other is about the same as GBS. Technology management had about 3. And then, of course, our PhD students. And the reason I show you this and kind of want to bring this up is a lot of times and a lot of classes are generally just focused on you spending time with your cohort. These are all students that you're going to be in class with. You could be in a class that is completely made up of MBAs and you're the one student from MAM or GBS. You could be in a class that's got students from all these different programs. And then on top of that, there's opportunities that you may be in classes with students from other schools at Yale. So it really allows you to meet people from all different backgrounds, whether that be different countries and citizenships to different past employments and past jobs to different stages of life. Now, talking about the curriculum, so both MAM and GBS have a few required courses. I believe with MAM it's 2, GBS has 1 specific required course. And then there are a few other required courses, but you get to select from a list of about 20. With that, you get to choose from more than 170 elective courses at Yale School of Management, which is just unbelievable. I still can't believe we offer that many courses. And then on top of that, you get to learn from or take courses across Yale's 12 professional schools and the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. We did the math so you don't have to. It came out to over 1,000 courses. There's a lot of courses and a lot of opportunities. That's why we do try to say, if you're interested in the program, know a little bit of your path, because it can be overwhelming. And our students love telling us about all the courses they learned about, but there are a lot to choose from. And then, of course, I believe it was spoken about earlier, but you can round out your curriculum with a global network week where you can travel to one of our 30 plus partner schools for a week-long intensive course. And it's a great opportunity, again, to really globalize your education, really round out your education and dive into all those different areas that you might be interested in learning more about or you feel are going to help you become the best version of you. And then I think this is just one of the coolest parts. 50% or more of your curriculum is designed by you. So when it comes to GBS, it's about 50%. You do get to select from a list of required courses, but 50% is completely customizable to you. I believe it bumps up to about 80%, if my math is right, for the MAM program. So you have a lot of flexibility to do what you really want to do, learn what you want to learn, and dive into it with leading professors in all different fields at Yale University. Now, obviously, the education is the biggest piece. That's why you're there. But I think that the learning shouldn't stop and the connecting shouldn't stop at the classroom door. So bringing up the community and kind of adding a little bit more context to it. We have speakers coming in constantly. We've had everyone from Stella McCartney to the president of Ghana to the secretary of the Treasury, CEOs. All of those want to come through. They want to share their knowledge, experience, and talk with students, faculty, and staff to broach topics that maybe are a bit tough to talk about, or talk about what's going on in the business world, what's going on in different sectors. I know we've had everyone as well for like environmental issues even come in and talk. And it's just an amazing opportunity to listen to people that are currently out there changing the world or being a part of that world that is ever changing. On top of that, some of the events going on. So Yale-Harvard football game, that's one of our big ones. Obviously, I think most of you probably know Yale has a rivalry with Harvard. So that's always a big one. Every year it goes back and forth between Yale and Harvard where it's located. But it's a very fun opportunity to get out there with other students. A lot of times there's different tailgates, games, all of that leading up to the game. Everyone has a really good time. I got to go actually for the first time this past year. It was such a blast to really see and experience. And I think it's so funny to see all these students that are just connecting, and it didn't matter what program or school they were in. They were just there as a member of the Yale community and there to support their team, which I thought was really cool. A little bit more of a professional event. So Fempire is one of those, female empowerment. And there was a lot of discussion on females in the workplace, talking about how can we empower them? How can we do even more to, bump up their knowledge, education, opportunities, all of those sorts of things. And that's just one of the events. We have constant events that are happening, whether they're at SOM or across Yale. Same thing with our Yale conferences. There's always a conference to be had. I know AI has been a big one, as we learned a little bit about earlier today, but there's always conferences on AI, current business trends, what's going on in the markets. And that's just at SOM. There's opportunities across Yale, again, to really dive into those different conferences and things going on. With that, some of the fun things, the SOM Talent Show, a great opportunity to showcase who you are, maybe your talents, and then the SOM Club Fair. At Yale SOM specifically, there's more than 50 different clubs, and then you have to take into account all of Yale. A lot of our students will join different professional clubs, so consulting club, business analytics clubs, things like that. We've also got, food and beverage club and dance clubs, sports clubs, all of those sorts of things as well. So it's a great opportunity to meet people both professionally and on a more personal level, but a great way to continue building that network. One of my favorite slides, and I picked out the photos for this. So I love just kind of wandering around campus. Wandering around UBC today has been so fun. I keep saying it, but it's just amazing to look at all the buildings and things that are going on. At Yale, a lot of different great places. I love personally the Beinecke Library. There are, I believe it was 1.5 million different books, manuscripts, and things dating back hundreds of years. It's an unbelievable place to check out if you have the opportunity. But it's just one of the places on Yale's campus. The Yale Art Gallery, the Farm, another amazing place. I always recommend for students, if you want a great place to study or a great place to kind of check out and see all the different libraries for the different schools. Each one is kind of unique in its own way, but is a really amazing place to study in and just take a few minutes to immerse yourself in. And then, of course, again, the Yale Courtyard, I think it's a great place to network, be with friends, especially during the spring and fall time when it's a little bit warmer out. It's a great place. You'll always see students playing games, doing different things, hanging out, just enjoying the time that they have at Yale. So what would the timeline kind of look like? So many of you are looking at applying or thinking about applying right now. So you apply, you get in, you'd start your UBC program in probably August 2025 and graduate in roughly July 2026. Correct me if I'm wrong, Alina. Okay. So graduate in about 2026 for the MM. And then August 2026, you come to Yale and you begin your program there with commencement from Yale in May 2027. So which program is right for you? And this is a very personal question. I think, it's something to reflect on and think about. But the first part of your decision is which program at UBC is the right program for you, the MBA or the MM. Once you've thought about that a little bit, then comes the application process. And if you're interested in the MBA, as I mentioned, the Master of Advanced Management is the program you'd want to look into, the MAM. On the other side, the Master of Management, if you're thinking about doing that at UBC, then looking into the Masters in Global Business and Society or GBS degree is the program you'd want to look at Yale. And when is the right time to apply? I think that's always a big question. So 2 different time frames in which you can apply. You can apply concurrently or while you're concurrently applying to UBC. So you can find out, what do the next 2 years of my life look like? Am I going to UBC and Yale, or what does that look like? On the flip side to that, you can apply while you're at UBC. So maybe you want to start your degree at UBC and kind of see, do you feel like you could go a little bit deeper? Is there something you're interested in? Maybe you weren't even interested in one of these programs, but something at UBC piqued your interest and now you want to dive deeper. You absolutely can apply. You would apply standalone and apply during your time at UBC to whichever program fits the bill, whether it be the MBA or MM, and you would send your application in to us. And I believe the dates, we have some documents with more on the specific dates of when you would want to apply. So I appreciate you taking the time to come and listen. obviously tried to cover as much as we can, give you a little bit of an idea. If you want to learn a little bit more about either the MAM or GBS program at Yale, feel free to scan the QR codes. Also take down the email address or take a photo with the email addresses. We're happy to answer any questions, of course. And obviously check out on our pages. There should be some upcoming events, Q&As, webinars, all that fun stuff. We'd love to see you, join in. If you have any questions, absolutely ask. And we'll go a little bit deeper on deadlines and specifics for this year's application if you are interested in some of those. Thank you. Any questions? So doing the professional MBA and then coming to Yale. So there is an opportunity. The one thing I would say is it is a full-time, one-year full-time program. So you do need to take that into account. It's full-time in Connecticut. So keep that in mind. But as long as if you're doing your MBA, you can absolutely apply for the MAM program afterwards.
Criteria for students coming from the master's.
So specifically, basically you would apply, depending on when you're applying. If you're applying before, you would apply to both programs consecutively. We do take a look at resumes, transcripts, all of that usual stuff. The one thing is there is a work experience requirement. We do want, I believe it's 12 weeks of work experience prior to coming to Yale. So you have that time to do up until August of the year you'd be coming basically to complete that requirement. We do require GMAT or GRE test score, but otherwise, it's pretty straightforward of transcripts, test scores, all that stuff submitted, especially for the MM.
Just as a follow-up,
yeah.
What is a typical successful candidate look like?
That's a great question. I think there's a lot of different candidates. So I think the big thing that I always say, and what I feel like has been most successful is know why you want the program. I think a lot of people candidly love the Yale brand, the network, all of it's great and can be a great resource. But if that's your reason for doing it, I don't know if your application is going to stand out. I think the best applications usually are ones that people have thought through. Why do I want this program? What is it going to offer me to help me be more successful when I get into the professional world? How is it going to help me grow personally and professionally? And then those students, usually when they get to Yale, they've done that preparation to know, all right, what courses am I going to take, or how am I going to utilize my schedule to really make that difference in my career and in myself so that I'm confident coming out of it. I think those students usually get the most out of the program. We absolutely have students that utilize it a bit more or end up utilizing it to just network, but the students that have a plan and do kind of follow through with that plan, I think are the most successful. And I think the ones too that take advantage of everything. So obviously, as I mentioned, courses across Yale, a lot of times students kind of forget about that. And it's take courses across Yale, join clubs across Yale, go to different events and really get yourself out there because you're going to meet a lot of amazing people. And I think that's something that really stands out with the people that find the most success or seem happiest and feel like they got the most out of it at the end of the program.
Is the probability of getting accepted better if you're already a UBC student?
I don't. That's tough to answer. I would say I don't think the probability is better because I think you still have to put in or make a great application and case for why you want the program. I think it helps us because we know UBC. We know it's a great school. We know what kind of students we're getting. I mean, Jonathan's a prime example. So we know exactly what we're getting, but that still doesn't, that won't overtake the fact that, if someone thinks just because they went to UBC, they're going to get in, you still have to put together a good application and explain to us, why do you want this? What is this going to do for you and your future? And how are you going to make an impact in business and society down the road?
I'm wondering if you're aware about some opportunities when it comes to scholarships and bursaries.
So definitely some scholarship opportunities. So once depending on the program you're interested in, there are different ones, but basically you apply, we take all of your stuff, we look at that, and if you're admitted, you automatically are eligible for merit-based scholarship. If you're doing the M2M, which is the MM and GBS, or MBA and MAM, then what we'll do is we'll wait until you are sort of partway through your degree here. And then, hey, do you have any additional stuff? What are your grades like? We'll take a look at all that. And then we do consider that as well for scholarship, because we want to make sure that we have the most up-to-date information to be able to offer you the most potential scholarship money. With that, there are other things, on-campus positions, other funding options, and there's definitely some differences between GBS and MAM and what scholarships may be available, but there's definitely scholarship opportunities there for students.
What about post-study work opportunities? Are they allowed to find employment in the US?
So there are opportunities. We do tell students, obviously it's all based on what the job market looks like. So if you're doing the program specifically to get a job in the US, make sure you temper your expectations, because the job market can go up and down very quick. There are opportunities though. With the degree, you are eligible for 1 year of OPT automatically off of that student visa. If you are interested in it, and I won't go too into it right now, but there is STEM, a STEM major that can kind of be attached. It's kind of the first part in a number of steps that you'd have to go through to potentially be eligible for an additional 2-year extension. So potentially up to 3 years of OPT in the US off of your student visa. It's an opportunity, but there are opportunities to work in the US. We have a number of students that do end up going on to work in the US afterwards, but we try to make sure that students understand it all depends on the job market and all of those factors, but there is OPT and opportunities.
So the minimum is going to be 1 year. That's the...
Yeah, so you do need to have a job kind of waiting for you and whatnot, but yes, with that student visa, you should have at least 1 year off of that.
Could you just explain quickly OPT?
So optional practical training. So yeah, you get your degree, basically 1 year, I don't want to call it an internship, but basically 1 year on your student visa, being able to stay in the US and work. If you get the STEM extension, then you do have to go into a STEM specific job. So keep that in mind. It's not something for everybody, but it's an opportunity to potentially add 2 additional years to your OPT or optional practical training. Yeah.
Oh, it's not a question, it's
yeah.
Well, perhaps to ask about the US, I may add. So I got my MBA in the US school and worked for a while. So the way I know that it works is that the OPT allows you to work with a company, and if you like, I think you for a company, especially in the tech space, that can offer H1, that's a really good app, so they can offer H1 for the company.
Definitely.
Application process is like do I apply at the same time?
So it's a good question. So I think that would be probably a little bit more, and Alina, you might be able to help with this.
Sure. Yes. Yeah, of course. So as a PMBA student, you're absolutely eligible to apply for the Yale MAM program. You would be applying when you are actually completing your PMBA. And so you would begin then, if you're accepted, then you would begin your Yale MAM after you've completed your PMBA. So so the dual degree, kind of the time-saving option is for the full-time, but you are still able to do that. And we've had some students who have done PMBA plus Yale MAM in the past, so we have some alumni from that.
Definitely.
Let's have an online question.
Yeah.
What are the main advantages of a dual degree over a Yale only MBA as far as job prospects?
So it's a great question. I think one of the great benefits to that, I'm kind of looking at you. Is the camera there? Okay. So one of the great pieces to that is, yes, the Yale MBA is great and you can absolutely do that. But I think where you kind of miss out is you just have the Yale network, which is great. I can't say enough about it. But that being said, it's sort of the power of two. So now not only do you have Yale's network, degree, brand, but on top of that, you get to add in UBC's network, brand, everything about it. You're getting a truly globalized experience in 2 different countries. I think it just adds even more depth to what you can share when you go into interview and talk about. Plus, you end up with like double the connections, double the opportunities. It gives you a lot more ability to kind of globalize that experience and really just talk highly of UBC and Yale.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to put Jonathan on the spot a little bit and maybe talk about that.
Yeah, so I think having the Canadian experience and the US experience is extremely important because you see a little bit of both worlds and how the job market is trending for both. The economy is different. So you are going to have like different type of conversations, the industry. So when you are exposed to those 2 different environments, you get that perspective of what's happening in North America with different lens as well. And you also have a different touch in terms of like multicultural exposure as well. So my class was completely different in terms of like dispersion of like multicultural status from UBC and Yale. So it was extremely important for me to build my network and understand the difference that you have across the globe. So I echo the words you just said, Matt, like having both at the same time and the way that you expose when you're maybe coming back to the Canadian economy and saying that you have UBC is extremely important. And when you're in the United States, saying that you have like Yale brand in conjunction with a brand such as UBC is extremely powerful. So you have that also flexibility to come across both countries if you want to.
Thank you. I know you had your hand up, so.
A question for, I guess.
Yeah.
Basically, I wonder if there is a way from MBA, which is business analytics, to MAM.
It's a great question.
Not at the moment, okay. But yeah, it will be a separate application. So right now, the Master of Management and GBS is specifically with the Master of Management, as well as MAM is specifically with MBA. So at the moment, there is no pathway for MBA and students specifically, but definitely on my mind.
Yeah, so quick question for the GBS program at Yale. You mentioned about the job requirement before that, like what counts as.
So in internships, professional work experience, we're looking for basically professional work experience, internships, that sort of thing. With that, I would say when you apply, one of the things we do ask is for, I'm going to say proof, or just, we want to see contract or pay stub, something to kind of validate what, you were doing. So that is important, but yeah, we just professional experience. And a lot of our students, it varies where some have more, some have less. Sometimes it's in a completely different sector, but it's because they were in, art that they realized, I want to do consulting. Somehow that came across. And obviously, if they can explain it, that helps. But having that professional experience to be able to say, yes, I have some experience. I know what I want to develop or continue to work on. But it could be all internships or, professional, like fully paid, all that.
Does the type of work like teaching assistant part-time in school count, or is it like in a different country, like internship in China, do they all count?
It's a good question. I believe I'd have to look into it a little bit. I believe it can potentially, but it would have to be something. I would say we can connect and talk, because sometimes depending on what it is and the specifics of it, sometimes it does, sometimes it might not. So, but we can talk.
Yeah, got you.
Perfect.
And can you just what the cost is?
Definitely. So, yeah. Oh, no. And so it's definitely an investment in yourself, and it's definitely an investment. I believe it was 85,400 is the tuition. With that, depending on how you want to live while you're in New Haven, then that other number can kind of go up or down. I think we calculated it at about 32,000 for the time of the program. That obviously can go down very easily depending on roommates, how, lavish you want to live, if you're going out to eat or if you're making something in-house every day. So there's definitely differences there. With that, scholarships definitely come into play. As I mentioned, merit-based scholarships, which I believe generally range from about 10 to 45,000. And then on top of that, there are a lot of different opportunities and different funding options that, depending on which program you're interested in, we can definitely send a little bit more info or share a little bit more info, because there are specific ones sometimes based on like what, level you're at, or depending on what country you're coming from, sometimes those things play a different role and you can get more additional funding with that. So, but generally speaking, we do have scholarships. The total cost is about 85,400, not including sort of living expenses and whatnot.
That's US.
Yes.
Just thinking, I know when people are accepted to Harvard, they have their own bank and they have guarantees.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that?
I believe we do work with a few loan providers, international loan providers, to be able to help students. So if you're admitted and if you really want to do the program, there's absolutely opportunities to be able to get loans if needed, to be able to pay for or help pay for your education. And maybe Jonathan could share a little bit more sort of his experience and some of the benefits, what he learned, what he liked.
Yeah, so I would do it all over again. Like, it was one of the best experiences of my life, combining both an MBA and MAM together. I think I previously mentioned that I really wanted this MBA experience to be something that I can take advantage for my whole life, and as a foundation for me to understand what the academics piece could leverage for me, and also the network. So I think like relying on both brands at the same time was really good for me to make sure that my network was sharp enough, and at the same point understand the differences from how Canada educates in the US and what should be put in place. So both experiences sum up on each other to make sure that you are like a good candidate. So I would do all over again. It was the best experience of my life.
So I heard that it's very customizable. So what kind of classes did you enjoy the most? If there was like a focus that you try to design your course path?
Yeah. So when I thought about like doing both programs, and I applied concurrently, so I applied both at the same time. Like actually I got my UBC approval and then Yale approval right next. I knew that I wanted to take the general management perspective. So I decided to take classes in human resources, finance, marketing, operations, all over, because I really wanted to make sure that I understood the business as a whole. So I wasn't focused on some technicities that you have for one specific class, which was really good for me, because right now when I'm at my job or with different problems that I'm solving, and I can, open my toolkit and say like, oh, I know something from this specific subject that I can apply. And then having at least good conversations with people about different subjects. So this definitely helped. So I took general management. So what I liked in terms of courses at Yale, I took some classes it was presentation style communication. There was one class there that's like influencers is your superpower. So we talk about, how to persuade, influence, and the classroom is set in a way that you do challenges. It's not just about like that lecture thing. It's really dynamic. That helps me a lot to think about different aspects of my life as well. So just not like being there, like watching the class. At UBC, the foundational aspect that I tried to leverage was a lot about entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship had a bunch of like general management pieces. And it was really good for me to have access to the campus, and the other resources just talked like AE at UBC, CDL, some of the classes. And I think that exposure to putting a business out there was extremely important.
Just, I need to know that your lecture program, mostly the participant in class, we're talking the job seeking. So I have a question that how this program can help someone that instead of job seeking, one can look at the job generation. So can you specifically elaborate on how this program can help in this regard?
So I think the great thing, especially with the M2M, and make sure I'm on track with answering your question. I think the great thing is, so you've got two great programs that are going to help you learn and grow personally and professionally in a lot of areas that you maybe feel like are lacking. I know I talked to some people and they were saying, you know, I feel strong in this area, but maybe a little bit weaker in this area. So firstly, being able to kind of grow that weakness to where it's either a strength or at least manageable so that it's not a weakness anymore, I think is a great piece. As you kind of grow and look at the job market, from there, I think that's where you don't just have one career office helping you. You don't just have one network or one brand, one graduate degree. You now have UBC's career office helping you on top of Yale's career office helping you. You've got Yale's network helping you on top of UBC's network helping you. And having all of those resources at your disposal and being able to reach back out to them. I think, you know, as Jonathan pointed out, the cohorts being so helpful and people being so helpful and open, it really allows you a great opportunity to have, I would like to think, have an easier time or a little bit easier time putting your foot out there into the professional world. I know personally, when I got into the professional world, it was a bit more pushed out the door and kind of best of luck to you. Having all of those resources at your disposal makes it so much easier to be able to go out, feel confident, and feel like I'm going to go out there, I'm going to nail this job interview because I've talked to the career office at Yale and at UBC. I'm going to go nail it because I know exactly, you know, what they were asking for in their job application. I know all of that stuff because I took all of those classes. I'm going to be able to talk about it. Having all of that at your disposal, I think, just makes a more confident and ready applicant and person going into the workforce. And then, of course, Yale and UBC definitely will try to help out as much as they can. I know Yale specifically, a lot of recruiters will come to campus to speak with students. And there's a lot of opportunities with that, job fairs, things like that, which I'm sure Jonathan can add a little bit more context to. And so a lot of students end up having jobs even before they've completed their time at Yale, because that would be their second year. So Jonathan might be able to expand a little bit more on some of that.
Yeah, so just one point, like I've really focused on getting a job early. So I got my job, like, I think October, and I graduated next May. So I still had like 6 months just to enjoy Yale when I was back there.
And learn.
Huh?
Enjoy and learn.
And learn, yes. A bunch. Yeah, so definitely it helps. And I was constantly in touch with BCC here as well, because I wasn't sure if I should look for a job in the US or in Canada. So I was just exploring both options when I did it. It was, yeah.
And again, some of it depends on job market too. We're not saying that doesn't come into play in some space, but it definitely, it helps having both networks working in your favor, even if there is a tougher job market at times. So here.
Yeah, so I'm from Brazil, and I knew that, I mean, the US job market is great. I can tell you that, you know, like the companies and salary, I mean, the whole compensation package is just like so great. And, you know, there are like a lot of pros that I see in the US, But on the other side, I feel that the Canadian culture and the Canadian stability and path to immigration was somehow like important to me back then. So I was like, okay, should I get a job in the US, have a little bit more risk up front, get my OPT done, and leverage my career here? Or can I go to Canada, explore more about like what I've learned during my MBA time, get some experience in North America, make sure that I'm in a good place, and leverage like whatever I have learned over the next year, so I can probably think about, you know, US or other countries later on. So it wasn't an easy decision. Like I thought about this for 6 months. I used a lot of the BCC help, a lot of like Yale's development center as well. So a lot of conversations to make sure that I had the best decision. So that's why I decided to come back to Canada.
Oh, sorry, wait, did you have a second question or no? So you might be able to help a little bit with this one. So the path, you'd be applying to UBC first.
Sorry, can you repeat the question? What the length of time? Oh, I see. Yeah. So you would be doing your year one at UBC, whether MM or MBA, and then you will be going to the United States and obtaining all of the paperwork and visas for that. If you're asking about like the post-grad work permit, for instance, you would receive that after completing the Canadian degree. So you would have to apply for it and receive it. At the moment, right now, this is the information at the moment. Validity is for 3 years. So even if you spend a year here, you still have that validity left for a little while longer afterwards. Depending, I mean, obviously this is the information for right now. It might change, but yeah, we've had students who would still have, if they wanted to come back, they would still have that validity left on their postgrad work.
Yeah, I got 3 years.
You got 3 years, yeah.
Do we have an employment code or something that has on the graduates that went for the dual master or dual program? The number of people that are able to do some kind of
So, and you're asking specifically for like who stayed in the US kind of after a percentage?
To understand how feasible it is. I know it's possible.
Yeah.
But it's a problem. A lot of people.
And I hate to give you the answer of it's dependent on the year. I know a couple years ago, with COVID and stuff, there were a lot of job opportunities. And so I think there were more students staying. I think the market's a little bit different now. And so I think that's taken away a little bit. All that to say too, with these degrees, it also depends because as I showed, we have such global cohorts that some years we have students that almost nobody, it seems like, wants to stay in the US, which that's their prerogative, and they want to go somewhere else. We also have students that, a lot of times do want to stay in the US. So there are a lot of variables there. I don't know if you would, yeah.
You don't have any kind of data that tells us, okay, on the 100%, 50% of our was able to gain some kind of opportunity.
So it depends. It all varies because it's such an international cohort. Even if we gave you data and said 60% of students were able to get something, that could be 60% of the 100%. That could also be 60% of the 20 people that wanted to stay in the US. And so that's where it gets a little bit tough is we truly there are a number of students that I've talked to that they had job offers and they were like, I'm going back to Europe for a couple years. And then once I figure out kind of what I want to do, if I want to come to the US, I'll move. If not, then I'll stay.
That happened in my class was, I said, 3 people got jobs in the US, but they decided to just go do business somewhere else and then maybe come back if they wanted to. It's a really personal choice that my case specifically, I got an offer I got multiple offers during my time. One was in the US and I had to think about my life, like, what I'm gonna do. I mean, like, do I want this? Like, how it's gonna be, how it's gonna work out for me. So yeah.
And I wish I could give you some analytical data to, help you with that. Unfortunately, because it just changes year after year, and our cohorts some years just want something different. It's tough to give you. I don't want to give you misleading data and say 80% did, and in reality, that's 80% of 10 people that said, "Oh yeah, I tried to stay in the U.S." or something like that. So.
If I may add to that, I think it's a very important question, actually. And I think if I was in this gentleman's position, I would be thinking exactly about that. What I've come to realize is that it really doesn't matter, what one is getting that is definite. And I'm somewhat envious that you guys have this opportunity, to be honest, is that you're coming out with a network out of Yale, right? The people that you're coming out of classes with are the people that you can get jobs with in the future, whether you get a H-1B or you get OPT in the US or not. It's just about having friends that, I've had colleagues and even my brother just get jobs by calling his classmate. Interview process just becomes secondary. So what is guaranteed is going to come out with a Yale network. I personally think that's more important than whatever statistic.
And I think that is part of it. Having the UBC and Yale networks helps tremendously, because all across North America, you have people going back and forth. And again, going back to the point, I know students that had opportunities in the US that said, I'm going back to specifically Italy because they were like, I'm going to work there. Their significant other was doing a degree over there. They were like, I'm going to work there and I'll transfer into the US in a couple of years. So there's opportunities. You just have to be, I think some of it too is you have to be open to it. One of our alumni spoke not too long ago, and I think he gave a really good example of it's sort of a funnel. If you're open to the opportunities, if you're not set on, I'm going to work in New York in fintech at these two companies. Okay. If you just want to do that, you're only going to have a couple opportunities, maybe only one opportunity. As you say, okay, I'll work in the Northeast, or I'll work in anywhere in the US in fintech, you're going to open that up and there's going to be a lot more job opportunities there for you to apply to and potentially get into. So you have to keep that in mind as well, with that specificity.
One point, so CEO also helps you with the statistics of which companies provide sponsorship as well, normally. So there are like 10 to 20 companies that normally come to campus and provide sponsorship, that you can think about your own plan to get placed. So having your own plan is important too, because you see how the things are being shaped and which companies are going to provide you that, even after the OPT. So it's personal.
Yeah.
So at the end of the 2 years, you get one certificate from UBC and another from Yale, or one from?
So if you're doing, let's say, like the part-time or professional MBA, then you would do your 2 years UBC, come to Yale for your year, and you would have 2 degrees. So you would get 2 separate degrees. You'd have the Master of Advanced Management from Yale, and it'd be the MBA, I imagine, a professional MBA would be on your degree from UBC. So there'd be 2 separate degrees. Same thing, if you do the MBA, so if you did the sort of M2M, you would get 2 separate degrees still at the end of your time. All right.
Thank you so much, Matt.
Thank you.